The DOJ has indicted several individuals who were obstructing ICE officers in Illinois, including a Democrat congressional candidate, Kat Abugazela. She is, I guess you'd call her far left or whatever you want to call it, and anti-ICE, was seen on video engaged in, let's just call it raucous protest, where she got thrown to the ground. And for this, they're saying that she was intimidating, interfering with. And we'll go through those videos and play them. We also have probably a much, much bigger story, but a bit more esoteric. Arctic frost documents released, exposing that basically Biden, his administration was, well, you already know they were corrupt. They were targeting hundreds of conservatives, subpoenaing bank records, phone records. It is insane. Things that are being uncovered, where the FBI is targeting members of Congress, saying, well, they've got ideas that are bad for the FBI, as if that justifies the use of law enforcement force against them. Absolutely crazy. We'll talk about that. Plus, of course, more updates on Snapocalypse. There's a new account called EBT of TikTok, showing all of the people claiming that they're entitled to your money. Now, before we get to all of that, we got some great sponsors for you. We got Backyard Butchers, my friends. Have you heard of Big Pharma? Well, of course, there's also Big Ag, and many people weren't aware. 85% of American meat is controlled by just 4 major companies. Just because you're buying American meat doesn't mean you're buying healthy, and buying organic only means they control what the cattle eat, not how they live. Backyard Butchers Texas steer steaks come directly from a real Texas ranch where cattle are raised, processed, and shipped from the same location, completely bypassing Big AG. These Texas steers are 98% grass-fed, 2% natural grain finished, no growth hormones, no antibiotics, no preservatives. The quality and flavor are exceptional. Making America healthy again starts with going back to our roots and eating real meat from the hardworking ranchers who raise cattle right. Go to backyardbutchers.com/Tim. and enter promo code TIM for up to 30% off, 2 free 10-ounce ribeyes, and free shipping when you subscribe. Oh, boy. I could go for a 10-ounce ribeye right about now, man. I'll tell you what. Fight back against Big AG with your fork. Support American ranchers. Support Texas. Backyardbutchers.com/Tim. Promo code TIM. We also have Beam Dream. I am the biggest fan of Beam Dream, my friends, and they've got a big offer for you right now. First, what is it? It's a nighttime blend to help you sleep. They got a bunch of flavors. It's not just hot cocoa. They got cinnamon cocoa, brownie caramel, melatonin-free cinnamon cocoa. That's a good one. They got peanut butter, pumpkin spice, salty, dark chocolate. Cinnamon cocoa is my favorite. It's got melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine. You take it right before bed. It is delicious, and it helps you sleep. And I will personally attest to this. So I take my health very seriously. I try to exercise as often as I can, which is fairly regular considering there's a skate park behind me. And before bed, every night after the show, I make a glass of Beam Dream. Seamus was there. He watched me do it.
I did. I saw him. He actually did do it. I did see him.
He watched me make a glass of hot
and
cocoa.
if he hadn't, I would file an FCC complaint for the fact I would have gone, no, he didn't do that. But I did. I saw him eat it.
FTC.
FTC. Sorry, FCC. That's right. No, it's not vulgar. It's not like it shouldn't be allowed in the airways. But I would say this man is advertising falsely.
Legit, my sleep score has gone up probably around 5 points on average, but sometimes even higher. Last week, I had a 100 on my sleep score, which I'd never had before. So you can get 50% off right now going to shopbeam.com/Timcast. Use promo code Timcast. I also want to give a shout out to James O'Keefe for the great work that he does. And also, it was hilarious when I was doing this ad read, and James O'Keefe interrupted me. He was like, wait. I drink this. This works. And I was like, 2-for-1 ad read. Beam. Legit. This is fantastic stuff. Don't forget, my friends, to smash that like button. Share the show with everyone. You know, we got a couple great guests coming at you tonight to talk about this and more. We've got the great Pat Dugan.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Pat Dugan, Judge Pat Dugan, running for district attorney in the city of Philadelphia. I'm running against a Soros-backed anarchist who coddles criminals. I have a website, judgeduganforda.com, and I'm calling myself a unicorn. I'm a registered Democrat. I am the Republican nominee. I am endorsed by independents from the Forward Party. I am running as a Philadelphian. I'm truly not worried about politics on either side. I'm only worried about the victims and the rule of law in Philadelphia, and the Soros-backed candidate, Krasner, is not.
We for a few years, we were in Woodbury in New Jersey. So we're just on the other side, and we would do business in Philly. And we had some run-ins with some far leftists, and we had to experience. So it's going to be great to hear your insights and what your plans are. So it's an honor to have you, good sir. We also have Cliff Maloney.
Timcast Nation, great to be back. Cliff Maloney here, the CEO of Citizens Alliance, where we knock a lot of doors. We say that doors win wars. Right now, we're on the ground in Pennsylvania with 118 full-timers, and we have also launched the New Jersey Chase with 105 full-timers. We're trying to win that governor's race. Find me on X at Maloney. It's great to be back.
Guys, what's going on? It's Brett. Normally I am doing Pop Culture Crisis Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we got a lot to get into. How you doing, Seamus?
My name is Seamus Coughlin. Guys, the number one way that people develop their morality or ideas about the world is through story. And right now, we're in a crisis. The far left owns all of the infrastructure for telling stories in this country. The entirety of entertainment media is dominated by these people. That's why myself and my team are pushing back. We've cultivated 1 million subscribers and over 290 million views with $0 spent on marketing. And now we are making a full-length animated show that communicates conservative values, not through ham-fisted monologue or preaching, but through good stories and clever humor. If that's something you want to see made and exist in the world because you want to win the culture war by building culture and pushing back against the radical left, go to twistedplots.com right now, pledge $25. You will get access to our 25-minute long pilot episode, and you will be helping us to usher in the future of entertainment, which is grassroots and right-wing.
So if you see, anyway, let's go to the news. We got this from the AP. Democratic congressional candidate Kat Abugazela indicted over ICE protests outside Chicago. And for those of you that saw the thumbnail on this episode of Timcast IRL, that's a real photo that she posted of her, and she is running for office. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of thirsty young guys that are like, I don't care about politics. They're going to vote for it. Guys, she's not going to date you. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, here's a story. A Democratic congressional candidate in Illinois has been accused of blocking a federal agent's vehicle during September protests outside an immigration enforcement building in suburban Chicago, according to court documents unsealed Wednesday. The felony indictment filed last week by a special grand jury charges Kat Abugazela and 5 others of conspiring to impede an officer. Quote, "This is a political prosecution and a gross attempt at silencing dissent, a right protected under the First Amendment." Actually, if they're going to quote her, I'll just play the video straight from her, and this is her response.
My name is Kat Abugazale. I'm running for Congress in the 9th District of Illinois, and the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center.
I just got to pause because I don't let him just lie. No, it's because you obstructed law enforcement, which you're not allowed to do, but continue.
This is a political prosecution.
It's not.
And a gross attempt to silence dissent.
No.
A right protected under the First Amendment.
It's not.
This case is a major push by the Trump administration to criminalize protest and punish anyone who speaks out against them. That's why I'm going to fight these unjust charges, but I need your help to do it. As I and others have exercised our First Amendment rights, ICE has hit, dragged, thrown, shot with pepper balls, and tear gassed hundreds of protesters, simply because we had the gall to say that masked men coming into our communities, abducting our neighbors, and terrorizing us cannot be our new normal. And because Chicago doesn't back down from bullies in masks who tear gas our neighborhoods, this administration has resorted to weaponizing the federal justice system to scare us into silence. But we're not going to be silent. The Trump administration wants you to be afraid of speaking out against it and its anti-democratic power grabs. And there are plenty of reasons to be afraid right now, but we have to overcome that fear. This case targets our rights to protest, speak freely, and associate with anyone who disagrees with the government. And while we have seen the unhinged and unlawful tactics this administration has used against the American public, it's important to remember they're doing this because they are scared. They are wrong. And they know they are on the wrong side of history.
Who is they, though?
Yeah.
We cannot diminish ourselves in the face of these attacks. That's why we have to unite and stand up for humanity.
Because she is anti-Israel. She hangs a keffiyeh in her room. And I'm going to tell you exactly why she's not going to win. First, I'll refute what she's saying. Let me play this video for you guys. Here's her being pushed back because she was blocking a vehicle. That's her.
I'm back at the Broadview.
So there are other videos of this, but I'm going to say this in reference to her. The reason why she can't win, there's two big reasons. Notice all the jump cuts in that video. And I mean this not derisively. If you want to run for office, you need to be able to talk and express yourself. You need wit. You got to go quick. You can't jump cut every 5 seconds. I got to say, as somebody who did nonprofit fundraising, making me the expert in the case, if you can't articulate your mission statement in 30 seconds, bing, bang, boom, you ain't going to get it. You ain't going to get it. But I got to add, the second reason is that she is an anti-Israel candidate running in the most Jewish district in the country.
Not even just that, but there was very little in the way of actually showing performative emotion in what she was doing there. There was very little in the way of maybe it's just because we speak on camera every day, so that it's part of the gig to understand how to, when you have a point you want to articulate to people, you have to be able to look at a camera, you have to be able to make people understand what you feel about a specific topic. And if it's something as personal to her as supposedly having her First Amendment rights violated, while, of course, leaving out the very, very important part where she broke the law to do so, if she can't do that without getting through 30 seconds of time, then she's going to have a very hard time convincing voters who are not going to only see her in clips, but see her in person.
But I mean, young liberals are far left. So she has that going for her, as the next generation of Democrat is going to be, I don't want to be too one dimensional and say communist, but communist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely disagree. The reality is at the core of their worldview is communism. It is radical far leftism. Once you accept those premises, even if you don't want to take them to their furthest, most radical conclusion, you will slowly end up approaching that position over time. And that's effectively what's happened. They've just gotten closer to that end state.
Is this an issue that is something that's come up a lot in Philadelphia with immigration law and things like that?
So the issues that I have with immigration is what Krasner's policies were in Philadelphia. Krasner's policies prior to President Trump and what's going on with ICE today was that if you were a person with bad papers and you committed a crime, you walk into a bank, you give the teller a note that says, I am robbing you, give me all your effing money. Larry Krasner, when he found out that this individual actually was here illegally, Larry Krasner downgraded a bank robbery to a possession of an instrument of crime.
What?
Now, no, this is what he's doing.
Insane.
What he was doing in Philly. We had another case where a guy who was illegal was dealing drugs, selling 80 bundles of heroin. Well, Larry Krasner became Jesus Christ. He made that case of 80 bundles of heroin. He downgraded it to possession of marijuana. He thinks he could change heroin to possession of marijuana, dealing heroin to possession of marijuana. These are the reasons why it's annoying to me that you got to treat everybody fairly under the law. You break the law, whether you're a citizen or a not citizen, the law should apply to you fairly. And Larry Krasner was not doing that.
Yeah. Well, look, let me back up Pat here, because I think people always think it's hyperbole, right? People think that this, hey, we'll be soft on crime is just a Republican talking point. It's not. And look, I come from libertarian world, and I found this drift in libertarian world where people would think, well, we want to fix the criminal justice system, which I'm a big fan of doing that. But when somebody tries to rob a bank, it's a little bit of a different story, right? When somebody has that amount of drugs and what their intent is, it's not always the solution to try to prove that, hey, listen, we're not going to be like the Republicans that are tough on crime. We're not going to be backing the blue. So you become the opposite. It's that slow drift you talked about where it's like all of a sudden, if you're not backing the blue, what's the opposite of that? Well, police are the enemy. Yeah. And it's like this dichotomy where, no, there's probably a rational place you can be. The left does not believe in rational, sane thought right now.
Well, and I love when the Democrats go, we never really believed in defunding the police now that they've seen the polling data, and they clearly did believe in it, and they were clearly talking about it. They're like, Well, we never believed in defunding the police. We just don't have anything good to say about the police ever under any circumstances, and we always think they're wrong about everything they do.
Well, isn't that like
why is that so hard to understand?
The Mott and Bailey arguments are like, well, no, we were talking about reform, right? We're not talking about getting rid of the police. We're talking about reforming the police. Of course, that's after you prove how stupid the initial statement was. The most nefarious part about statements like this is that, like you're talking about with people who are in the country illegally and they're selling drugs, and they're selling drugs or they're robbing banks. But when she's talking about it, she's talking about your friends and your neighbors who are being pulled out of their homes. So one of the most nefarious aspects of illegal immigration is that you allowed them to become your friends and neighbors. And for the average everyday citizen, it is horrific to see somebody who you've grown close to in a personal way pulled from their house and removed from the country. But that's not the point. The point is that they live amongst these people, and the prior administration did a very, very good job in helping to destroy a good part of the country by letting in people who allow this to happen.
Let me pull this up. Yes, we mean literally abolish the police because reform won't happen. It's a New York Times op-ed. You know what's happening with the immigration stuff in the United States is it's the graphic novel I Am Legend. Have you guys ever read it? The movie?
Well, the original, it was actually a book before a graphic novel, or it was a novella. It was a short story.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
The movie is trash. Don't watch it. It has nothing to do with the story. Simple version. I bring it up quite a bit, but for those that don't know, for these fine gentlemen, it's about a guy who hunts vampires. And the vampires are rapidly spreading. Vampire bites somebody, become a vampire. Eventually, everyone in the country is a vampire, and he's the last human, and they arrest him for killing people, and they lock him up, and he realizes that now that every single person is a vampire, he's sentenced to death for the murder of people, and he realizes when he dies, he will be the monster of legend that lurked around while the children slept and killed them in their beds. So the point is, you being the vampire hunter only matters when your civilization exists and you're fighting the legendary monster minority. If more and more illegal immigrants come into this country, as the point Brett was making, then you are going to have whole swaths of states being non-citizens. And when you then try to enforce your laws, they will say, you are the evil dictator come to destroy our homes and our lives. And if they take over and win this fight, these people, ICE agents, will be put in prison and be called Gestapo Nazis for breaking up families.
And there will be no land acknowledgements, by the way, if this country's taken from us. They're not going to be like, it was the noble Europeans who once lived here. Like, no, none of that.
And that is directly proven by these New York City mayoral polls that show that foreign-born New Yorkers versus American-born New Yorkers, it is like 100% the foreign-born are supporting Mamdani, and the American-born are supporting Cuomo or Sliwa. I mean, it kind of proves the point, right? Like, once you come in, how do you push back? I mean, you're obviously talking about ICE, but you're right. Like, at a certain point, what's the path back, right? What is the path? You know, once enough folks are here, it's tough to kind of reverse it.
Mm-hmm. So I suppose it's a difficult question to ask you, Judge Dugan, because I don't think you've seen the videos of Kat. So in a light sense, I think the answer is relatively easy. I would ask you, do you think she should have been charged? Of course, the predicate there is, have I seen the video? Do I know what she's done? But if it's true that she was blocking vehicles from ICE trying to do their job and obstructing these officers, do you think she should have been charged?
So I think anybody that interferes with official law enforcement, yes, they need to be detained and arrested after you do the investigation. And that goes from whether it's a sheriff in a small town, a police officer in a big city who's actually doing a car stop. You got to let the law enforcement do their job. Now, you'll have your right, but you need to step away so they can do their job. If you want to protest it, don't interfere with law enforcement officers. In fact, our district attorney, you know, there's this talk about the National Guard might come to Philadelphia, and that's Mr. Krasner is out there all the time saying it's Trump, it's Trump, it's Trump. Well, he actually told our citizens in Philadelphia to go harass the National Guard if they come to our city. Now, my problem with that is the National Guard is actually us. It's our citizens. In Philadelphia, it's the guy from Southwest. It's our neighbor. It's a part-time job. And what they're doing is they're given an order, and they salute the governor or the president, and they do their job. They are not our enemy. We need to go ahead and fight whatever you don't agree with through the courts, through the governor, through the president. But those National Guards, men and women, are doing their duty. They're us. I was an Army reservist. They're just doing their duty. Don't go up and harass them. And Krasner actually said, go harass these National Guard. Yet when a young man went up and tried to take some photos of Mr. Krasner with his phone, he literally pushed him away, pushed his phone away. I mean, so it just is ludicrous that he has this double standard.
Yeah. Do you think that the National Guard should be deployed into Philadelphia?
I think there should be some cooperation. I don't think we need the National Guard right now. What we need is we need somebody to cooperate with the mayor of Philadelphia, Sherelle Parker, who's a Democrat who was elected saying, let's enforce the criminal code. She has a forward-thinking police commissioner by the name of Bethel. They're working together to try to solve the issues in our city. They don't have the third partner, and that's the district attorney of Philadelphia, who refuses to hold violent criminals accountable. This is a fact. People that live in Philly know that. Philadelphia needs a district attorney to assist the mayor. Now, I will talk about the National Guard was in our city a couple of years ago. And what they did was they calmed down all the riots that we had a few years ago, the civil unrest, whatever people want to call it. But when they put those National Guardsmen on the streets in Kensington, in North Philadelphia, it calmed down. There were our neighbors that came to calm down. So it did work. We should not need them if the district attorney would do his job.
See, but here's the crazy thing. What Pat is saying is what any Democrat would have said 25 years ago, right? Like, it's not like he's saying anything here that is irrational, that is far right. This was the Democrat. I mean, these used to be pretty bipartisan races.
Aren't you a registered Democrat?
I am still a registered
What
Democrat.
happened? No, but see, that's the point. It's like not even 25 years ago, 10 years ago.
15 years ago at the
What
most.
happened to the Democratic Party where you are now, you ended up as the Republican candidate, but you're a Democrat?
You know what? There are still a lot of Democrats like me. The far left.
Democrat voters. Let me
Yes.
clarify this because it's something, right? Because the leaders, this is what I find. The leaders are, they're persuaded by the 20% of the radical activists, the radical donors. But I think you're right, because we found that in a lot of the voters we talked to, the voters, there's still quite a few of you.
Yes, there are. And again, because of the closed primary system, we get that radical candidate like Larry Krasner backed by Soros because he was able to dump a ton of money in. And then on those former prosecutors and those candidates who wanted to be smart on crime. Let's do these restorative justice like Veterans Court and whatnot, but be tough on violent criminals. They couldn't get the traction because they didn't have the $1 million like Krasner got from George Soros. There's that whatever the hell he's trying to do to our country. He's destroying places like Philadelphia.
Can we dive in on that? Because I always feel like it's easy to say that, not you, but when people talk about Soros and like what motivates him, right? Because he is giving to all of these people that are extremely soft on violent crime. We're not talking about, parking tickets.
No.
What is his motivation? Like, I mean, I have answers, and I think, he's just trying to really take over, but is it purely evil why he's doing this? Like, what gets him going?
I don't know what his motivation are, but you can hold a city hostage by not enforcing laws on violent criminals because the citizens who obey the law are kind of at the behest of the police who won't. I mean, even if the police make the arrest, it doesn't matter if the prosecutor refuses to follow through and do his job and the citizens just want to go to work and get home every day safely. A lot of people are stuck because they may have enough to pay their mortgage, but they don't have enough to leave if they want to leave. That's assuming that they even have a job that that would allow them to do that. Say they're working remote, but if you have a company in that city, if you're part of the income class that actually contributes to the to the wealth of the city, you're stuck there and you're held hostage by prosecutors who won't prosecute cases.
I can't. Oh, sorry. I don't know about Soros's life specifically. I haven't looked into him too much, but I do know about the destructive policies that he's helped promote in this country by putting soft on crime DAs in different locations and funding them. What I genuinely believe happens is when someone participates in activities in their personal lives that disfigures them spiritually, either some form of sexual perversity or like ending the life of an unborn child through abortion, harming innocence in any way, and they don't repent, they don't turn to Christ, and they have to be set in their ways, the only option for them is to actually hate things that are good and beautiful and want to see them destroyed, because it reminds them that there's something in the world besides the crime that infests their conscience every single day, the things that they've done wrong that they don't want to come to terms with. And so when they see an innocent person get hurt by a criminal, they sympathize with the criminal instead of the innocent person because they haven't come to terms with their own misdeeds.
Or misery loves company.
That's and those are the same phenomena, really.
If they can justify the criminal acts or the evil, it makes them feel better about themselves.
Exactly. It makes them feel better about their own conscience.
Man, I got to pull up this next clip for you. This is a huge story. This is a tweet from Colin Rugg. Actually, this was from yesterday, but we didn't talk about it till later, so I want to get it in this show tonight. Liberal podcaster Jennifer Welch suggests the Democratic establishment needs to get on board with wanting conservatives dead, or else far leftists will come after you the same way we came after MAGA. I'm going to tell you my interpretation of what she said. Actually, I'm going to play it for you first so you can decide for yourself before I tell you what I think.
Finally, if you think this Zoran thing is happening just in New York and you think people are waking up only in New York City, you're mistaken. Look at this clip of a wine mom at the No Kings March. Play the clip.
Whatever his name was?
Charlie Kirk, ma'am?
Yeah, him is horrible. Horrible.
Charlie Kirk is horrible?
Yes, I'm glad he's not here.
You're glad he's dead?
Yes.
Why would you say something like that, ma'am?
Because he was horrible on the campuses, the college campuses. Horrible person.
You know what? I do the exact same thing.
Well,
would you be glad if I would die?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Your friend just said she'd be happy if I died.
I think we need to...
It's funny, isn't it?
So listen up, Democratic establishment. You can either jump on board with this shit, or we're coming after you in the same way that we come after MAGA.
Whoa.
I'm just going to...
What exactly do you mean by that?
Okay, so let's break this down. She showed a clip of someone saying, I'm glad Charlie Kirk is dead and maybe you should be murdered too. She then said, you better get on board with that or we will come after you the same way we came after MAGA. Well, they came after MAGA with a gun and put a bullet through Charlie Kirk's neck. So it sounds to me like she is making a veiled insinuation that they will kill Democrats unless Democrats get on board with them killing conservatives. Certainly that is the most extreme interpretation, but I'm done playing games. You could argue two things. If we want to give her the lightest interpretation, she said, we hope that conservatives are murdered and you better also hope they get murdered too. Otherwise we will hope you get murdered. But I'm going to go ahead with, we're going to go after you the way we treat MAGA. They're calling for more conservatives to be murdered. Now there's more to this.
Period. Stop taking AIPAC money. Go on an I'm sorry I took AIPAC money atonement tour if you want to stay in power. Stop missing out on these big
Brilliant.
Rallies. Hakeem and Chuck should have been front and center introducing the next mayor of New York City. But no, they wouldn't show up because they're pussies. They're pussies that are beholden to the same corporations that that helped Donald Trump get elected. And this is just an embarrassment. Kudos to Bernie, to AOC, to Zoran. And that woman out in somewhere middle America saying, fuck Charlie Kirk. He was a racist. He was a piece of shit. There are so many more of us than there are of them. And these Democrats that continue to play patty cake with corporations and lobbyists, nobody wants that. Nobody wants you. We want politicians to speak freely and look at what the benefit is.
She
There's
wants
something. Listen.
She wants the mainstream Democrats to celebrate the assassination of Charlie Kirk. She wants more of it. She has 1 million subscribers on Instagram and more on YouTube, and they aren't taking this stuff down.
And it's also
real quick. Sorry, just to throw it to Will Chamberlain.
No, you're good.
A society that tolerates calls for the murder of your political rivals is a society that has opened the door to civil war.
Also, like, there's just, listen, everyone gets a little angry sometimes, but like, carry yourself with some dignity. A woman of that age should not be throwing that kind of language out. It's very unbecoming. I'm serious. There's totally undignified.
I think she should be criminally charged.
Well, it's disgusting what she said. And
Agreed.
again, I'm a registered Democrat. And even if you believe what she believes about Charlie Kirk and his positions, damn it, this is America. And you're calling for political violence against the opposing party and also people in your own damn party that don't agree with you. I don't agree with her. This is disgusting that we're talking about this in America. This should not be tolerated. I don't care from the left, the right, the middle. Damn it. What the hell are we doing?
I think she should be criminally charged for incitement or anything else they can interpret. Because I will say this. If we do nothing, this woman makes millions of dollars, presumably. She's got 1 million subs. She gets hundreds of thousands of views on her videos. So I can only presume she's making more than $1 million a year off this show, plus ad reads, probably a couple million. If nothing comes of this, you are telling her and every single young person you are allowed to call for the murder of your political opponents, and you will get rich from doing so.
And if you're wondering why they feel so emboldened to do so, it's because they feel so morally justified in their behavior because their worldview has reinforced that on them over and over again. They are right. They're, I guess, not liberal. Their leftist worldview has told them you are right. What they are saying is evil. Evil deserves to be vanquished. They believe that they have the right to call you evil, have you murdered, and they believe that is justified. It's one of the most insane things in the world because they don't see anything wrong with it.
And this is the civil war. You ask, how do we get to a civil war? The civil war within the Democrat Party, right? Within any party, when it's somebody calling for violence, you would hope the adults in the room would stand up and say, hey, that's not the path we're going to go. Look at the women in that video. These are your typical suburban soccer moms, okay? These aren't homeless people on the street throwing out these crazy things. And so I don't want to be a doomsdayer, but I think that side's going to win. I think the Democrat Party, the ones calling for violence, are going to win. I think that's going to become the mainstream Democrats.
I think we learned in 2020 when Trump refused to send in the National Guard to stop the riots, the worst riots we'd seen in 50 years. The presumption was they're going to reap what they have sown and learn a lesson and then come voting for Trump. Instead, the lesson I believe they learned was Trump is president and he won't save us. So they vote against him. Now, Trump is trying to bring in the National Guard, send in law enforcement to deal with these crimes and these riots, and he's being obstructed. I believe that if you do not exercise the power you have to put a stop to this, you will lose. So what I'm saying is, if the Trump DOJ does not take action against people who are saying things like this. Now, by all means, we had on Dave Ehrenberg the other day. He's a lawyer, and he's a Democrat, and he said, free speech. You got a lot of leeway in what you're allowed to say. My response is, you've got two choices. You can let her and the others like her call for the murder of conservatives, celebrate their deaths and assassinations while threatening Democrats to get on board as well. You can let her do it, or you can suspend her from these platforms, take down the podcast and say, we do not tolerate this degree of rhetoric. If she is allowed to keep speaking, I hope you are all prepared for what history predicts comes next, because we referred to this already in a different story as Radio Rwanda. When the left start going out every day on their shows, screaming and banging on the table that conservatives must be murdered, don't be surprised if you wake up one day to hear that a bunch of mass shootings happened. Leftist terrorism is already the dominant ideology behind terror.
They murdered Charlie Kirk and
according to the mainstream media.
Yep.
So here's my prediction: the Trump admin will do nothing over stuff like this. People will say it's free speech. more and more liberals will start adopting this rhetoric because it gets them views. You will get Democratic politicians who will start adopting this rhetoric. And then I don't know what happens in 4 years. When you have political. So in 2018, I warned we were headed in this direction where we were going to be. And I said, what happens when this culture war, these street battles, make their way to the highest levels of government? Because people grow up and they run for office. And I was told over and over again it would never happen. Well, it's happened. And now we had, over the past several years under the Biden administration, which we'll get into the story in a second, Arctic frost targeting conservatives. We had the arrest of Donald Trump and his lawyers, the unprecedented fake charges brought against Trump to steal his property, imprison him, and falsely accuse him of rape. It is at the highest levels of governance now. Yep. So when I tell you, middle-aged women calling for the murder of conservatives will bring you in 4 to 8 years 35-year-olds going out with guns and shooting conservatives. You can tell me I'm crazy. You can tell me I'm wrong. And I will just say 2 names. Was it Aaron Danielson? Am I getting that name wrong? Charlie Kirk. And I think it was Aaron Danielson. Let me make sure I get that name right. I said I'm going to say 2 names.
Antifa took out?
Well, but
yes.
This is, I mean, it's a very predictable thing, even without this kind of rhetoric.
Aaron Danielson was a Trump supporter walking down the street in Portland when a far leftist with the communist fist on his neck screamed, "We got one right here," pulled out his gun and put 2 in his chest. Mm-hmm. So when I say this stuff will happen, it is not a prediction. It's a description of what already happened and will get worse because no one is willing to stop these people.
There has never been an instance in history where the radical left came to power and didn't do things like this. Their goal has always been to murder innocent people, and in particular to murder Christians. And the only time they haven't done that is when they have been sufficiently marginalized by a strong enough right-wing movement to prevent them.
So all that needs to happen right now is this woman's show should be banned. Spotify should take it off the air. Instagram should take down her account. And they should say, we do not tolerate this level of threats of violence. They're not going to do it, however. It's not going to happen.
No.
Well, and the rationale should be, this isn't that she's wishy-washy. She is literally saying that we should murder these people. And the dog whistling, you know, I'm a door-knocking guy, right? I'm not an influencer here like Mr. Tim Pool. But it's so funny how the dog whistling can play out. 2018, I believe, the Antifa Handbook came out, Mark Bray's book, and he names me because I wrote an op-ed in Time magazine about free speech. And at the time, I'm like, well, nothing will come of this. You know, who cares? You know, it's Antifa just doing what they do. But a lot of people are like, no, this is dog whistling to get people to take action to do things. Yeah. Well, fast forward to a month ago, we do a rally in Wildwood. And this was for Jack Ciattarelli. Benny Johnson was supposed to be there, Jack Posobiec, Scott Pressler, myself, a bunch of other great patriots. We all had to get security because there were credible threats coming from, because we're listed in that book, and some radical lunatic sees this. So now me as an activist, a grassroots guy, I've got to have a bodyguard with me. That to me was like the moment of realizing, hey, this stuff is real, and we can choose to ignore it and just think, hey, it's never going to happen to me. But after Charlie, it's like, listen, I'm not Charlie. None of us are Charlie Kirk. But it's a lot closer to home than people think it is.
I had a friend who he quit. He had to quit a job. He was in charge of a bakery. And he had to quit a job because the people that he worked with there, he found out they were celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, these were, I would assume, younger people. And when you think of activists of such a radical nature, you do think of younger people who have been influenced. But that's not what you were seeing in this video. That's your grandma who watches Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. That's your aunt who watches Jimmy Kimmel. It's all of it has been primed. But the way I've always phrased it is like there was this picture. I think I mentioned this on the show like a week ago. Like they posted a picture of Barack Obama and Mitt Romney after one of the debates, and they said this was the last time politics felt like it had any sense of decorum. And somebody pointed out, look, far leftists were calling him a Nazi, calling Mitt Romney a Nazi in 2012.
Moderate liberals are calling him a Nazi.
But that's what I'm saying. So what's happened is that before that, in the Bush era, you see the pictures of the ones calling Bush a Nazi, and they were the far left. But now it's not that anymore. It's the mainstream Democrat politicians, and they take in the average everyday citizen is taking cues from everyday politicians. They're not getting it from the people talking about the Antifa handbook or rules for radicals. They're getting it from the mainstream press.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, that reaction to Charlie, the reaction that we all saw online, Tim, you're probably going to say, no, like we should have expected it. I did not expect it. I mean, I did not expect to see the cheering, to see the teachers, the normal folks, the people that are, literally making good salaries, think it was okay to publicly state how happy they were that somebody got shot.
This is not me trying to say I told you so. I 100% expected it. I hate to say it. I 100% expected it.
That Caitlin Bennett video where she's asking she's shocked. This lady's like, I hope maybe you should be murdered as well. And this Jennifer Welch saying, get on board with what they're espousing. I don't think conservatives realize what time it is. And I want to give a shout out to Michael Knowles. I'm a huge fan of Michael Knowles, by the way. He's got some of the best videos.
He leaves me speechless.
He does. And Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh, the best guys over at the Daily Wire. But Michael, I'm going to give a little critique to. Not that he did anything wrong, but he testified before Congress about political violence. And he was very polite, noble, and honorable. And it's what you'd expect of a good Catholic man. But in these times, what ended up happening was, I think Senator Welch says, how many of you are okay with the pardons of the J6ers? And they all raise their hand. And then he says that includes the men who beat Officer, I think Hodges was his name. And then he pauses for a second, and he goes, yep, that includes him. And then Michael Knowles politely says, is that an invitation to speak? And he goes, no. And he goes, understood. And that's it. Welch then takes the clip, cuts out Michael Knowles, and says, silence. He says, when I pointed out that they pardoned a man who beat a cop, silence.
He said he was speechless.
Indeed.
Controlling words, controlling thoughts.
Now, here's my point. Because what I see with this, and I don't mean to be in any way disrespectful to Michael Knowles, because I'm a big fan. I love his videos. Is that he's playing this political game as though he expects men of honor to discuss these issues in good faith, where this senator literally just pulled it out of context. The whole point was to lie about the views and the ideas of Michael Knowles, which is why you cannot play this game of honor and nobility with people who have no intention of being honorable nor noble. All I'm saying is, in that context, the moment he said, and the people included, the officer, is you immediately jump in and start going off and saying, absolutely not. You are twisting words. But my point with this is, again, not to disrespect Michael, it's just a sign to me that conservatives still believe there is this. They think we're actually going through a standard legal proceeding with Democrats and liberals. Meanwhile, they're going on their shows to millions of people and saying murder conservatives. And conservatives are coming out and being like, we need to lower the temperature in this country and bring people back together. And I'm like, they're saying kill you over there.
And then their side will say the same thing to you when they're the ones who are, talking about violence. After what happened with Charlie Kirk, then the Democrats are like, hey, we need to tone down the rhetoric, even though they know that the people on their side aren't going to atone to that because people on the right were mad about it and were calling it out.
You cannot persuade the devil. I mean, if these folks are brainwashed, right, we think we can have conversations. Oh, yeah. A lot of those reactions to Charlie, I mean, I have a distant cousin, who cheered when Charlie was killed. Now, this is a guy I knew. This is a guy who got assassinated on live television. Everybody saw the video. If you haven't, at some point you will. That's how these things work. I hate to say that. And he knew that I was close with him. And for him to post, just shut up. But I'm almost glad that he posted it because now I know.
That's right.
Right? I know what's deep in his heart, and I know there's no coming back from that. And so my advice to a lot of people is don't waste your time. Right? Don't get into these battles. Don't let those folks have that power over you because you cannot persuade the devil. If they're gone, if they're brainwashed, there's no way to pull them back. And we shouldn't spend any of our energy trying to get evil people to understand when they're never ever going to come back.
So, this might be much more difficult for you to say, Judge Dugan, but my view of these DAs, of these Soros DAs, it's not that they're ignorant of what they're doing in releasing violent criminals onto the streets. It's that they're doing it intentionally to wreak havoc on our communities, to destabilize our systems of governance so that they can then swoop in and fundamentally restructure them to a far left ideology.
Well, I can tell you that Larry Krasner's doing it on purpose, and I'm a witness to that. I was a judge for 17 years. In the last 8 years, Larry Krasner's been the district attorney, and we went from having a defense attorney in a courtroom and a prosecutor. They both zealously represented their side. After Larry Krasner became the DA, we still had a defense attorney, and then we had a prosecutor who was far left off the damn table. It's amazing. Larry Krasner does not train his DAs to be prosecutors. How do I know that? I witnessed it every day in court. More than 70% of the cases that were in front of me would be withdrawn because Krasner's office were not ready to proceed forward.
It's on purpose.
It is on purpose. When a DA would leave the office, some of them would actually write a letter to the editor and say, it's bizarre, the training that Krasner's doing. It's a kumbaya, sit around, almost like a religious experience, but nothing to do with how to prosecute. They're sent into the courtroom without a mentor or a supervisor, and they have not a clue. And the defendant walks out, and the victims are left hanging out to dry, including victims who wind up being murdered later because of his policies.
Wow. I think Krasner and many of these other Soros DAs, they are doing this so that the criminals walk.
Yep.
It's not so much about they're not training them. It's that they're intentionally saying, we want you to lose. We want the criminals on the street. We see it not just in, as you're making a great point, because we've not discussed what I would describe as the faux prosecutions. Typically what we see from these DAs is they just drop the charges and let them go. But it's really interesting to hear that you're saying in the courtroom, they'd be like, oops, we script the prosecution. Guess you got to let them go now.
Yes. So obviously the arrests are down tremendously in the city of Philadelphia since Larry Krasner became the district attorney because he refuses to charge somebody who's arrested. So those cases never make it. The cases I'm talking about are the ones that actually make it, which is a minority of the actual crimes being committed in the city of Philadelphia. We recently had a murder of a young girl by the name of Kata Scott. Kata Scott is a beautiful young woman. She was 23 years old, a cheerleader, Penn State, just beautiful. Well, she was assaulted and kidnapped and wound up being murdered by this guy named Keon King. The issue with Keon King is Keon King was actually in our courts months prior for another assault and kidnapping of a different woman. So that case, the victim didn't show up. Despite the Commonwealth, the district attorney's office, having video evidence of Keon King trying to break into this woman's house, the prosecution withdrew the charges. Instead of putting the video evidence up like any new prosecutor knows how to do, they did not put it up on purpose.
What would be different under a Pat Dugan district attorney?
DAs who know how to put up video evidence, which is prosecution 101, they're going to have to prosecute. So what makes this case even worse is, so Keon King, he's in front of a judge. The prosecution, Keon King has another case. We're talking about a third case. There's a new arrest warrant while he's standing in front of the court. The district attorney's office, Larry Krasner's office, does not tell the sheriff, doesn't tell the judge, doesn't tell the police. So Keon King could have been taken into custody. Instead, he walks out of the court, and then what does he do? He goes and he grabs this Kata Scott, kidnaps her. City can't find her, and we find her body. Wow. So now he's charged with murder. That's a whole different thing. But Larry Krasner is a co-conspirator in the death of Kata Scott because of his policies. And I get so frustrated by this because everybody says, oh, Kata Scott's case fell through the cracks. No, it didn't. A previous family member who had their mother murdered in similar circumstances said the same thing about this Gladys Coriani, and that case fell through the cracks. That young man testified at the impeachment of Larry Krasner and said it wasn't falling through the cracks. It was a trap door that was constructed by Larry Krasner on purpose. And that's what I've seen. That's why I quit being a judge. I resigned to run against this guy because it's so frustrating what he's doing to our victims.
I lived in New York for a while, and like in the city proper. I don't really care for it. You know, I don't care. I don't have great things to say about New York. It smells like sour milk. So when all this bad stuff happens, I'm like, it's bad. It shouldn't happen. But New York. But for Philly, it breaks my heart because Philly's so amazing. Yeah. And it's funny. I can say this. And we just lived in the suburbs, just on the other side of the river. But we'd go in for cheesesteaks. Oh. And I'm not from Philly. I'm from Chicago. But we would get our cheesesteaks.
Do you remember your favorite place?
I don't. We went to, you have to tell me, because I was there for I think it might have been 2 or 3 years. And so I don't know the names, but you know that marketplace downtown where they got all the different.
Reading.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
There
Reading
you go.
Terminal.
We'd go there all the time because you get to try everything, and we go shopping in there. And then
Did you get cheesesteaks there? Uncle Gus's is probably where you got them.
that's probably what it was. I don't know for sure. All I know is people would show me where to go, and it was just awesome. And I mean it because I lived in New York, and I can't tell you very much about this waffles and dingus in New York, whatever. It's okay, but Philly, man, we loved it. We had so much fun there. We did a big show at I don't know if it was Sugar House at the time. Is it Rivers now, or was it the casino?
Rivers is on the Delaware.
It used to be Sugar House.
It used to be Sugar House. And so what happened was we were doing a live show called Ending Violence, Racism, and Authoritarianism. That was the show we were doing. It was a very libertarian thing. And this was in Pittman, New Jersey, at a theater. Far leftists, 2 weeks from the show, threatened to burn the theater down. And so the venue canceled on us. So we reached out to a venue in Philly, and apparently the staff there were like, the venue was like, great. But then the staff were leftists and threatened to like walk out.
Wow.
So we went to Sugar House instead and did the show there, and they accommodated us, and it went well. We did have to limit. It cut the seats down by from 1,000 to 500, which sucked. But my point is just, I got great memories from our time when we were in South Jersey. I know we weren't Philly guys, but that's where we would go. We were 15 minutes from the city, so we'd go in all the time. Seeing all the stuff that's been going on with the crime with Krasner is just, it's so brutal. Because for whatever it is, I know there's going to be New York people who are like, don't rag on New York. Well, New York's what it is. But to see, you know what? I'll be fair. I'll be fair to New York and to Philly. To see our great American cities be turned into this by this psychotic ideology, whatever it is they're trying to do, it breaks my heart. We got to turn it around in whatever we can. Now, back to the initial video that we're talking about in the first place, it's scary when you've got prominent political personalities that hold this view, that want to see us dead. So I'm scared as to what this means as we approach this from a legal standpoint of, we got to prosecute the criminals, we got to be fair, we got to be just, we got to follow the law, and they're saying we don't.
Well, and this is so important because the reason people view the world in this way is because of the stories they have consumed. How often have you seen it in the media? A show where you're supposed to feel bad for the criminal. Like, criminals are almost always portrayed in some kind of sympathetic light. Police are usually portrayed in a negative light. You always hear about the protagonist who's a criminal because they're down on their luck. And this is part of why we're trying to make media and stories, because you have to create stories that push back against that. We're like, the criminal actually is bad. They're not just doing it because they're hungry or trying to feed their family, but because human beings are defective on some level. We do have malice in our heart. We do want to hurt others.
It is funny that you mentioned, we were talking earlier about when things really turned when it comes to like ICE and immigration. There are TV shows from 15 years ago that take a very normal stance on immigration or ICE or Immigration Customs Enforcement, all that stuff. It really was almost like bottlenecked into just the last couple of years, where suddenly something that was very normal for Americans to believe, which is that you have to come here legally, that's the path forward, is now suddenly considered a far-right idea.
Wait, what was the thing where you wrap the pizza in the cheesesteak? You know what I'm talking about? Come on.
A Stromboli?
No. There's a thing in Philly. That's what we did. They make a cheesesteak and they get a big slice of pizza and they roll it up. Yes.
Philly taco.
Yes.
Spent like
My wife and my doctor won't let me eat that.
spent like two summers in Philadelphia, and I was just more amazed that I could order a slice of pizza to be delivered back in like 2000.
Listen, the food scene in Philly,
everything
I don't think people give it enough credit. It's very, very underrated. My new place that just opened up, Skinny Joey's, Joey Merlino. They just opened up. They actually just bought I was from Delco, the suburbs, and they bought the cheesesteak place that I worked at as a kid. He just bought it. So they're opening up, they're starting to expand out. He's got a great social media game, but the food's good. The Pats and Geno's thing, I'll say this so you don't have to. You gotta appease more people. That's a tourist trap, right? Pats and Geno's, like, okay, if you're not a local, you go, you do the experience.
Right.
But Angelo's, Skinny Joey's, there's tons of great local spots that are out there. There's taco, baby.
That's what I'm
Even got the grilled onions in there. Look at that.
Oh, man.
Those are great for social media because you get the videos of people making those.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not forget
made it.
John's roast pork, Jim's steaks. There's dozens of
Jim's
great
is great.
cheese.
Yep.
Why do we always talk about food on the show?
Bro.
I was just going to say.
It's the worst.
I think
No, I'm hungry, bro. You can't do
we
this
got
to
to
me.
figure out how to get some of these up here. Maybe like
I'll work
it's
on
like,
it. Next time I'm here, I'll bring one.
It's like 3 hours to Philly from here, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, about right. 3.5.
They'll be cold by the time they get there, but get back here. But I think we got to have someone drive up, leave super early, order like 20 of them, and bring them back, and we have them for lunch. Philly tacos.
I feel like they'd be cold by then, though.
That's what I'm saying. We got to heat them up, but you know, we suffer for the delicious.
For the cheesesteak, we suffer for that cheesesteak.
We'll get you one of those. We'll get you some
Timcast.
water ice, and then I think I'm saying the Skinny Joey's. We'll bring you one of those.
Let's jump to the story.
I don't know.
This is big news from Fox News. Republicans claim Biden admin's enemies list unearthed from Arctic frost investigation.
Did he write it in crayon? Like Biden made this list? Did he?
Well,
put the same
wait,
name
hold on.
4 times?
Republicans claim. What do you mean? We have the list.
Oh, no.
There's no claim.
No, that's the problem. That's the tactic they use, right? Is both sides have become so polarized and nobody trusts anything anybody else says that they're just going to automatically assume it's just some type of oppobulla, you know?
My enemies, man. Number one, the Eepster bunny never left me any eggs this year.
His ice cream was melted.
My ice cream melted.
He wrote it with the auto pen.
He ordered his food with auto pen and it didn't come. Sean Davis says, breaking new Arctic frost whistleblower documents show that the corrupt Biden FBI subpoenaed bank records, donor lists, and emails of nearly every major conservative organization and leadership in the country, including the Trump campaign, the RNC, Conservative Partnership Institute, Save America PAC, America First Policy Institute, and even My Pillow.
Not
My Pillow.
Yeah.
It's clear that they were going after private information to try and cheat an election. That's the only way. The only thing I can see from this, it makes no sense. I mean, this is crazy. Look at this. I'm going to try and zoom in on this.
It's like actually cartoonishly bad that he would be collecting this kind of information on political opponents. We're going to be told nonstop about how Trump's an authoritarian. I got to say, like, Biden's ability to be all of the things that people fearmonger about Trump being while he has dementia is really actually kind of inspiring. Yeah. It's like when they're like, women can do anything men can in heels. It's like, dude, Biden can do anything they claim Trump could do with dementia, except only the bad things they fearmongered about.
Yeah, and the problem is that the media backs this stuff, so the average person will never hear about it.
There's even an entry in here for Seamus Coughlin, and
awful.
they were pursuing charges of theft of cutlery.
Oh, no.
Because of the allegations leveled against me by my political enemies, the false smears. I never did that. You know me. You know I wouldn't do that.
Lucky that it was spoons. If it was forks, it would have been up to a felony.
Yes.
You made those in Philly. That's free.
Yes.
If it's
No
under,
charges.
Krasner had a policy: if you steal something under $500, it's a ticketable offense. He changed the law unilaterally, and our retail theft went from $7,000 a year to over $20,000 a year due to his
crazy.
500 and below. It's free, and that's why our stores have left us in
in
Center City.
I don't know if I should be proud of this, but I'm just realizing this. I hadn't seen the full breakdown.
You're on it.
I'm already counting 6 different PACs or organizations that I door knock for.
Wow.
Right here on the list. I'll take that as a badge of honor.
Yeah, I want to like go through all of these organizations and just be like, all right, that tells me something. If the enemy was afraid of them, then they're probably doing something good.
This reminds me of when the IRS with the Lois Lerner, when they were denying all the nonprofit statuses. Yep. Because I was on that list. They held me up for 3 years when I was at Young Americans for Liberty.
Wow.
And that came out, and it was all alphabetical. And I'm like, please be on here because there's all these other groups on here. And then the last one was Young Americans for Liberty. But yeah, I mean, this is, when you get inside the documents, like you said, Tim, they can say, oh, it's fake or it's, alleged. It's like, no, we have the documentation. Obviously, they're targeting their political opponents.
Yep. This is absolutely insane. What? This is just crazy.
Andrew Sarabia made the list. He's a patriot.
Compiled by Senate. This is so. This I'm trying to understand. Subpoena recipient. So the subjects are in the right. I mean, this is massive. I mean, Save America Joint Fundraising Committee, and they targeted all of like law offices. I mean, this is wild.
And every single one of those PACs has thousands of donors. Right. Yep. And so are they investigating them?
Yep.
They've got staff members. They've got board members. I mean, you pretty much have probably 20 to 30,000 people that could be associated with the list that's here, depending on how deep they went.
Man, this is crazy.
But the thing is, like, you look at this list, and then the lady from the first segment, she believes that her being like arrested for blocking an ICE vehicle is proof of government authoritarianism. But this, they just kind of hold their nose and pretend like they don't see it.
Could you go up? Angel, Oh, Angel Protection System.
You
I was
thought
like,
it was
is
Angel
that-
Studios?
I thought for half a second, I almost had a heart attack. I was like, what?
Leave my sound of freedom alone.
Oh, man, that's crazy, dude.
The Red State LLC. Wow. Isn't that the media organization?
Red State? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's them.
That's crazy.
That's really bad.
Tim Murtaugh.
Yeah, and it even says, look, documents sufficient to show all employees, including agents and independent contractors. You're talking about anybody that is working for these groups.
Not even impressive to end up on any of those watch lists anymore.
I know.
They,
I know, it's
they
true.
targeted.
Everyone's on it.
They subpoenaed Google for the email of. Were they pulling emails from victory.trump? That's wild. Or their account information. I think conservatives need to wake up to what time it is.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I don't get it.
Sound the alarm.
This is insane. Red State Partners.
I can't wait to get a moment to go through all of these. It's very, very disturbing.
Yeah.
Very disturbing.
Targeting Trump Make America Great Again committee. The Republican National Committee over and over and over again. Ed Corrigan. That was crazy. That leaked email. Let me see if I can find that one, actually. Because Sean Davis has been posting a lot of this stuff. But there's an email where the FBI is like, Ed Corrigan wants bad things for the FBI. So that was their justification for going after him. It's just absolutely bonkers. Let's see if we can... Arctic frost. Wow. Let's pull this up and read this. Initially designed by Biden-era architects to target Trump, the indiscriminate Arctic frost investigation exploded to include over 430 Republican organizations and individuals. The Senate Judiciary Committee's oversight is far from over. Wow, man. So what do you think happens then if Democrats win again?
Yeah, not good things. I don't think they were collecting this information because they weren't trying to prosecute political opponents. I don't think they were going after this. I don't think they were like trying to do good things with it. We're past the point of that even being a worthwhile consideration to discuss. Listen, all I got to say is he who fights half a revolution digs his own grave. Trump actually has to do something about the abuses of power that have happened. He actually has to do something about it because otherwise they're going to lock him up. They already tried locking him up.
Yeah. Like what is he like? What can he do? He's too tepid whenever these things. It's like whenever any of these arrests come up, and then they just drop the charges, or any of the activist judges that get involved and block any of the motions.
And like he's going after some of them, which is good. It hasn't been all bad, but I think he's got to step it up.
Can I ask you a question about how do you feel like so much of the media now seems to be kind of around the idea of judges who are blocking orders from the Trump administration, and the joke is now like who has the most power in the country? It's a judge blocking a Donald Trump motion. Like, is that something does that get to you, the idea that judges are getting involved where seemingly they don't have any place to be?
Judges are supposed to uphold the rule of law. They're supposed to make an independent decision, and anybody who lets their political beliefs come into their decision is not doing their job as a judge. We really have to be the person who's calling balls and strikes based off the law. That's how it should be applied. You have to put your political beliefs, whether you're left or right, put it to the side. And, judges, we have a much higher oath and ethics that we're supposed to uphold. So we should not be activists from the bench, no matter what side you're on.
So what do you say, and this is me not having this opinion, but what do you say? A lot of the people that watch this are going to be big America First patriots. I'm looking at the chat. Some will say, oh, but he's a Democrat. He might be a rhino in disguise. How do you respond to those folks? And to me, I'll defend you first by saying, I'm not here to argue that people should be supporting Cuomo in the race, but I do think you have certain areas where it's very different. When the makeup of the city is what, 10% Republican? I mean, registration. What is it currently?
It's 6-1.
Yeah,
6 Democrats to 1 Republican. In
so to me, a rational Democrat who gets on the line as a Republican compared to Krasner, it's a very easy choice. I mean, we're chasing a lot of ballots in the city. Very, very hopeful you pull this off. But what do you say to those folks that would have that objection?
So the choice is real clear, as you said, in Philadelphia. It's continue to support a Soros-backed candidate who coddles criminals and is, frankly, an anarchist, or somebody like me. I'm an Army veteran, 23 years in the active duty and reserves. I went to Iraq, Afghanistan. I actually went to Iraq. after 9/11. I'd been out of the Army since 1989. So after 9/11, I went back in as a 43-year-old and I went to Iraq. That's how much I believe in the oath and helping protect American values. I resigned from the bench after 17 years to take on Larry Krasner. I am the person who believes in restorative justice, rehabilitative type justice. I did it as a judge. I had a Veterans Court program where it was less than 10% recidivism, holistic type of approach. We helped these men and women after they came home from war become productive citizens again. But I also, as a Democrat, I'm a Philadelphian. I believe in people who are committing violent crimes. They need to go upstate to prison. That's just a fact. So you call that whatever political side you want. It makes sense. Which one do you want? A guy who can walk and chew gum at the same time to be a prosecutor, or the guy who wants to coddle prisoners and let everybody out? It's clear choice. Forget the politics, please.
Let's jump to this story from the Wall Street Journal, not the Washington, the Wall Street Journal. Pentagon orders National Guard to establish quick reaction forces for civil unrest and riots. The move comes after Trump ordered an expansion of military units for responding to domestic disorder. Look at that photo. These guys are ready. The Pentagon has ordered the National Guard to create quick reaction forces in every state and territory by January that are trained and equipped to respond to riots and civil unrest within the United States. The riot control units are a major shift for the Pentagon, underscoring the Trump admin's push to directly involve the military in responding to protests and other domestic missions. Okay, this is the Trump admin outright saying he prepares to deploy National Guard for riots. Or at the bare minimum, they're saying they fully anticipate widespread rioting in the next year. I would argue that we are potentially days away from mass rioting and looting over the snap-ocalypse. But Trump says they're going to get that done, whatever that means. So I don't know if we're going to see these riots in the short term. But I don't know. It looks like the Trump admin is basically saying at the least we must be prepared for nationwide civil unrest.
Guys, support twisted plots before the Civil War breaks. All right, let's get this funded before the Civil War starts, so we can make this through the Civil War.
When the Civil War happens, does everyone got to buy me a Coke?
No. Why would that? Oh, I guess that's kind of true. Honestly, if it does happen, you do also need to buy Tim a Coke. So support twisted plots before we get to that point.
What does he mean when he says they're going to get it done?
No, I don't know.
He didn't say?
And I think he said something vague because I think the Republicans want the snap-ocalypse to happen. The interest in the debt is quickly rising and becoming one of the most expensive line items in our budget. We cannot continue down this path. No politician will ever come out, except Massey and Rand Paul maybe, and say, vote for me and I'll cut your benefits. Massey and Rand Paul probably would say that, yes. We're going to just shut it all down.
And this is really important. I did a video for the Foundation for Economic Education back in 2021 about the national debt, because this is when it had really exploded, even more so than it already had been after the COVID lockdown bailouts. And one of the things we pointed out in that video was the fact that when you're very seriously in debt, even though people like talking about the debt to GDP ratio, and that is important to think about, the real thing to consider if you're very in debt is, are you going to be able to keep up with the interest payments? All right. And we're going to get to a point here where interest payments are going to eclipse federal income tax revenues. So like every penny you pay in income tax will go towards paying off just interest on the national debt. It's a very bad place to be in. We're going to have to cut programs before that happens. No political leader is going to have the heart to cut a lot of these programs. So I understand why people are arguing you just got to let it stop and see what happens. But what we're headed for isn't going to be pretty. I'll just be honest.
Yeah. Tim, you asked me one time on the show, you said, I think it was my first time, and you hit me with a real tough question. You said, Cliff, do you support national divorce? And what you just said, Seamus, is I think how I answered it, which is I don't ever think it's going to be over some petty policy. I think it's about food, right? It's about livelihood. And so this SNAP issue, what else do the Democrats have in their arsenal as a political weapon to motivate and move people right now?
They don't have any policies.
There's no solutions. There's no policies. They don't really have a leader except soon-to-be socialist mayor of New York City, Mamdani. So, yeah, I hate to say this, but if I'm their strategist and you're looking at the drawing board, what other options do you have than to run it back on the George Floyd riots and to try to push based on that? Now, I hope that people are kind of awake to the idea that, look, they've done this before. There's not really, it's just driven by emotion.
Yeah.
But it worked.
No, I hear you. Well, and also, I hate to say this, man, and I think Trump has done some things in his second term I've been very happy with. Obviously, other things I've been a bit disappointed with him. But regardless of where he's at now, the lesson that Democrats learned from 2020 is when they riot, there will not be the kind of crackdown that there needs to be, right? They've been shaped in that way. So the likelihood that they try something again, it's not low. I hope that this is a positive sign, as dark as it is, that if they do try something, Trump is going to put it down and he is going to stop them from rioting and burning stores down and stealing from people.
As we can see with the Cat Abu Ghazala, I'm trying to pronounce her name right, story, they're going to revel in this. They're screaming and cheering, saying yes, because now they're going to use it to recruit. And they're going to say, see, this proves our point. Trump's a fascist.
Yeah. There was videos on the EBT of TikTok account where they're just, lady has her, it's amazing. She has a full purse of stolen food, and she does like a haul video where she shows you all of the food that she stole. And it's really, and at the end, she encourages other people to go out and do the same.
Yeah, I fear that nothing can stop what is going to come except for maybe a multi-series cartoon show that can inspire people to laugh and
teach them lessons. TwistedPlots.com. TwistedPlots.com. We're reshaping media. Seriously.
I did that plug for you, Seamus.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Who needs civil war when you have cartoons?
So if everybody is just plugged into the Matrix, gorging themselves, you know.
Well, even whenever we would talk initially about the concept of civil war and civil unrest, I'm not the smartest knife, the smartest person in the world, but my eyes like when food knife, yeah. when the food goes is when it goes bad, right?
Amen.
And to me that was more about that was in 2020, so it was like supply chains.
That's why I bought like 5,000 boxes of Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
You were the one.
And I used the smart.
This is not a joke. Did you go downstairs?
Yes, I was wondering why I couldn't get any Pop-Tarts.
What do you mean? Oh, they're all downstairs.
No, I meant when I was out at the store, you bought them all.
Yeah, we ordered them. This is a true story. On Amazon, there was a thing that said Jumbo Pop-Tarts, and they look big, and I was like, yo. So I bought a bunch.
Just regular Pop-Tarts?
Regular Pop-Tarts in a jumbo box.
Well, yeah.
That's fair.
You thought you were going to get like a gigantic, oversized Pop-Tart?
Uh-huh.
See, I may not be the smartest knife in the drawer, but I know that when you buy a jumbo Pop-Tart, it's going to be a regular size in a big box.
It's like I might not be the jumboest Pop-Tart in the box, but I know.
But no, when you talked about it initially, I thought they were talking about supply chains because that was the big discussion in 2020. But the idea that the apocalypse for America would happen over Snap is almost like too perfect to.
So I have to jump in because my mother is talking to me right now from beyond. So my mom, single mother, 5 children.
Wow.
So I have to tell you that I know what a food stamp is. So there is a safety net that still we have to make sure that we are helping some folks. I agree. There are some people out there that need to be purged from these roles that are running around with their $100 nails, their Gucci bags and all that. That has to happen. But we also have to make sure that we don't forget some of those people that really need it. And my mother needed it. And she wound up getting her advanced degree in her 40s. Her son became a lawyer, a judge. I have a sister who's a teacher. All my siblings have become productive citizens. Obviously, we're nowhere near the food stamps anymore, but there are sometimes. So I hope that the government understands that we still have to have safety nets for some people until they can pull themselves up.
And overall, I'm very conservative. I'm right wing. I do agree in some kind of social safety net. I think that these things have to be done at the local level rather than the federal level. I think that having this large federal safety net makes people less aware that this is a community function and that they should be grateful to the people around them. One of the huge problems with this being outsourced to the federal government is it builds a sense of entitlement for a lot of people. But yeah, I said this on the show the other day. I've known a number of people on EBT, food stamps, welfare. Some of them were people who I would say 1,000,000% need it. Like, this person absolutely needs it. Others, it was like, why are you getting any of my taxes? This is actually insane.
That was we had this discussion. We were talking about it yesterday, where I kind of made the same point. Where I was like, "Look, I'm not willing to throw out Mima, who doesn't have, has no, her no kids, no family, nobody to support her, no help. I've seen this before amongst not necessarily people in my family, but people who didn't have any family. And I was like, I'm not willing to throw them out, the baby out with the bathwater, because corruption is something that needs to be rooted out. And I understand that at the federal level, the rot is so deep. And you look at what was 1 in 8 Americans are on food stamps or something like that. That's not just somebody's mom. That's a whole lot of other people. Yes. And when I referenced that video yesterday about the lady who's showing off her stolen food haul, she had the $100 nails and the food was in a Gucci bag.
Yeah, well, it's like
that's right. I saw that video.
Yeah,
I do not believe that at this point in time, it's really 1 in 8 Americans who need these subsidies, who need this program. And the unfortunate reality is the important part of any policy, it's not the intentions, it's the incentives. Yeah. And the reality is, there is a massive incentive for the Democratic Party to get as many people on these benefits and entitlements as possible, because then you've got a permanent voter.
Yeah. I think we need a government program to subsidize those in need who are trying to launch cartoon shows.
Like Twisted Plots.
Let me make
TwistedPlots.com.
Two quick points. TwistedPlots.com. Where's that?
TwistedPlots.com. Thank you.
So, number one, look, of course, we can always say, there are people in need. Well, how do we do this before the federal government, handled it? Obviously, the local charities, people will call me a radical free market guy. But there was a time when we were doing this in a different way, right? We were still helping people, but it wasn't coming from the government. To Seamus's point, when the feds get involved and then taxpayer money from all over the country is getting rerouted back to whatever area, you don't have control to track the corruption, right? If you want to make changes, you got to do it through the federal government. Whereas if it was done locally, if we were taxed locally, you could argue against some of that at a local city council meeting. You could argue against not just the dollar amount, but the system, the process, how people are using the system or abusing the system. But now it's just out in the ether. Right, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars a year from the feds, and the number becomes too big for any of us to make a difference.
Absolutely, and the people collecting it are less aware now than ever before that someone else had to work for it. They see the government gave me this money, I'm entitled to it. Whereas in the past, I think people who are on these programs were aware, this is money that came from my neighbors. I got to be careful with it. I should only use this when it's necessary, which is why you had people like your mother who had 5 kids and were single women who would say, yeah, of course I need this.
Let's jump to the story from the Post-Millennial. EBT of TikTok launches and access clips of SNAP benefits users threatening violence amid government shutdown goes viral. Well, we got it. EBT of TikTok. It looks just like libs of TikTok. And let's just play some of these. I hope they're not really that bad.
And next week, when millions of people are going to have to resort to possibly stealing in order to feed themselves and their families, and the government complains, because they will complain about the crime rate going up, even though they're the ones who fucking did it. Make sure you point your anger at the system and the people at the top, because they're the ones who took the food away from families and poor people and starving children. The poor people just want to eat. They just want to survive like the rest of us.
Lady, you're morbidly obese. What are you talking about? Oh, there's more.
Not only we not getting food stamps for next month, but y'all want us to spend all the money on our cards by the 1st?
Neither of these people need food. Here we go.
I wish I got that because, your friend who said, I wish I got that because I can barely afford to eat XYZ, but her husband makes like $200,000 a year. Or the one who was like, I wish I got that big of a tax return, but we have to pay, but her husband made $200,000 a year. You call her and ask her for groceries.
She can't. She's paying her tax
SNAP
bill.
Benefits are getting turned off. Now hear me out. In history, the only time that people have ever stood up against their fascist regimes, against their tyrannical leaders, is when they get hungry.
It's not the only. It's not true.
It's not, yeah, right.
It's actually not true. He's right.
Well,
to
be
that
fair,
it increases the likelihood
Yes,
for
absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, Seamus, I think, as everybody knows, the principal driver of the Crusades, for instance, was hunger, and these knights made their way to the Holy Land because they were looking for bread.
And that's why when people say, "Hey, you're Catholic. How do you justify the Crusades?" I go, socioeconomic factors, bro. They're like, it wasn't their fault. No, actually, I say Muslims had invaded 2/3 of the Christian world and it was defensive. But also, which is true, but we'll also add here that when we're talking about like EBT, food stamps, revolutions, the founding fathers, they only revolted because of the tea. They were going to starve if these were British people. They survived off of tea. That was all they had. So, of course.
This is an interesting clip right here. This is interesting.
Does anybody else think that on October 31st, Trump is going to somehow have found money from somewhere because he moves funds around and they are not going to take SNAP benefits away? So then he can come off like this hero and, oh my God, I did it. This is me. You're welcome, everybody.
I predicted this morning because the USDA statement on their website outright says Democrats did this. On the 31st, Trump is going to come out and do a big statement where he's like, we're going to be activating emergency funds because we want to make sure that you get your benefits even though Democrats blocked it.
He's like, but the thing is, RFK is going grocery shopping with each one of you to make sure you don't put anything in your cart.
No sugar.
Only the new Coca-Cola with cane sugar. And not
this is what happens when you raise an entire generation on the idea that food is a right. That to me, I mean, once again, I don't want to get wonky about it, but food is not a right, right? But so many people have just been taught that the government is supposed to do this. When you're born and it's like your whole family, this is the way. I mean, the entitlement in some of those videos, these women are 400 pounds talking to us about how they need this right to food. Why am I paying for their food?
And it's right next to the discussion about healthcare being a human right, and not to say that the healthcare system in this country isn't an absolute mess, at least as far as insurance goes and all of that, but it's the same thing, right? Nothing that requires the labor of another person can be considered a human right.
And I say this with the delicious, sugary Wawa iced tea sitting right in front of me, half gallon.
And I agree with part of what you're saying, not the other part. This actually might be an area where you and I would agree a little more, but maybe not entirely as well. I do, so like obviously before a certain age, food is a right, but like it's a right you have as a child from your parents, or like if you've married a man, it's a right you have like as a wife from your husband. I do believe these things are rights, but we've gotten confused about who should give them to you, right? Who is supposed to help you meet your rights? And when it's always the government all the time, what happens? Well, now the family is less important and there isn't as much emphasis put on it. And it's almost as if it's very important for the federal government to destroy any competing power structure, including the family.
I agree with that, 100%.
With destroying the family, or with,
he wants to. Cliff he says it right here on Timcast. He wants to destroy the family.
We have created a system by which whole swaths of our society have been from childhood dependent on the government to survive.
Well, and this is so important. One thing that the left is really good at doing is tapping into your moral intuitions with language that actually does, on its face, promote something positive when they're trying to do the opposite. So they'll say something like, we should support our hungry neighbors. Correct. We should support our hungry neighbors. We should not have a massive federal program that redistributes everyone's wealth from all around the country to different parts of the country, and there's no discernment as to who should be receiving the food and who's scamming the system. When these things are done locally, you know who's scamming the system. You know who needs the money. They want to make it as federalized as possible because they don't want those discernment calls being made. Like, they want to be the ones who ultimately hold the strings with respect to who gets fed and who doesn't.
Is the hardest part about this just being that America's the size that it is, so
yes.
the federal government being the size that it is and the amount of people that it has to help, it's very, very difficult.
You know what's funny is
that's
like,
exactly it.
What do you call it when there are people who have to work to pay for the lives of people who don't? There's a class of
term.
There's a class of people who get portions. So we all work. Our portions of our wealth are then stripped from us and given to a class of people who don't work, so that they can live for free off of us.
Yeah, what's that called? What's it called when like when your labor is used by other people?
without your choice.
your consent.
Yeah.
Is there a term for that?
I don't know. I guess not. Maybe it's a new thing we just made up.
Look for it on twistedplots.com.
Go to twistedplots.com. No, I mean, like, there were instances biblically where giving like a fifth or something of your grain was considered slavery. Look, how much are we taxed now? It's like up to 37% if you're in the highest income bracket. And that's just federally. At the lower income brackets, it's 10%. You can up half of your money to the government. And we're like,
it's 37.5%.
Well, and the real question is, like,
don't forget your property taxes.
Well,
yes, exactly. The real question is like, all right, if having to give 100% of your labor is slavery, like, where do we draw the line and say that it isn't? Right? At some point, it's just too much. It's unjust.
And depending on how much a person actually works and brings in, like a lot of these people, a lot of the far left, they love the idea of government so much. Maybe not right now, given the fact that they're not in power, but they love the idea of government so much. What they don't understand is the best way for them to increase their ability to make money would be to tax them less, would be for the federal government to not take so much of every paycheck. But they're kind of just, they've accepted that that is their reality. Therefore, they want to get theirs.
I hope on the third. I hope Trump just does nothing. I hope it just expires.
I don't think that's going to happen. I mean,
I know, I agree. Nobody thinks it's going to happen. I was talking to Dave Smith earlier. He's like, no, they're going to do something because it's an economic nuclear bomb. I mean, the system is broken. The debt is way too high. It's going to implode eventually, but nobody wants to be sitting in the throne when it does.
I mean, there's probably lobbyists involved in this right now, given how many of the companies are. Remember when Sodagate was going on, and they were looking at how much like companies like Coca-Cola lobby the government.
Remember when a bunch of conservatives got paid money to promote EBT soda?
Like, this is
exactly
like, the government shouldn't be talking to. The government shouldn't be telling you what you drink.
Yeah. It was funny how many conservatives were like, they're trying to force us to tell us what we can or can't buy. That's wrong. And it's like, no, they're trying to tell you you can't use our money to buy junk food.
And Donald Trump loves Diet Coke.
And they gave all these conservatives all got sold out to do it because they're fake activists as it is. Well, and then they also promoted India, which was hilarious. What is this?
I remember that.
It's like a side quest.
Yeah,
it's so weird. I mean, if next time that happens, I'm blocking every one of those people and banning them from the show.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, dude, I'm not interested in fake opinions for cash. We don't allow people to pay to come on this show. People come on the show when they have something to say that's relevant, important, and we want to hear what they have to say. But if there are people who are getting paid and they don't actually believe what they think, and I'm not gonna associate.
Meanwhile, we have guests who have like stepped down from the bench so that they can run for office.
And what does James O'Keefe say? Your price has to be your life. I think that's right. It has to be.
He's the man.
Because somebody asked me that once. They said, "Hey, you're doing all this stuff. You're fighting for these campaigns you believe in. What if somebody came in and said, "Hey, we'll give you $1 million. Is it $5 million? Is it $10 million? Is it $20 million?" And O'Keefe was the first one I ever heard answer that. That was like, there is no price. It has to be your life, or you are able to be bought. And that's a big deal. And I think a lot of people that jump into this have no idea, because there have been plenty of opportunities where I'm doing a race and somebody says, "Hey, what if we paid you guys just to not knock doors?" Right? We had a thing in Florida. We were trying to legalize gaming, and the reservations, the Indians would come in and they'd offer to pay the people getting petitions. They would offer hundreds of thousands of dollars, not to work for them, to just go away. Just say, "Listen, all we need, just pull your people out of the field."
Is that legal?
It is.
On that cause, I have a number you can pay me not to knock on doors. Like legalizing gaming, I'm not that heavy on. So if they came to me, give me $5 million, you'll never hear from me again.
Right. But I mean that people don't realize when there's this much, when you're talking federal government, when you're talking budgets and you're talking trillions of dollars, the amount of kickbacks and things and the way they leverage people, O'Keefe's right. If your price is something other than your life, you're buyable.
Yeah. Well, and this is... I completely agree. And it's important to remember that. And it's also important to remember, I'm just going to throw this out here based on everything we've been seeing with these EBT recipients. Again, there are some people who really need the program. But if you're threatening criminal violence if you don't get it, are you not effectively blackmailing the government?
Just turn it off.
I will commit crimes unless you give me money?
Trump should instruct that anyone on video threatening violence should have their benefits turned off immediately. We got to jump to the story, though. We got massive breaking news from Donald J. Trump. He posted on Truth, he truthed, the United States has more nuclear weapons than any other country. This was accomplished including a complete update and renovation of existing weapons during my first term in office. Because of the tremendous destructive power, I hated to do it, but I had no choice. Russia is second and China is a distant third. but will be even within 5 years. Because of other countries' testing programs, I've instructed the Department of War to start testing our nuclear weapons on an equal basis. That process will begin immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, I humbly volunteer for a ride along on one of these tests. This is massive news. The reignition of the United States nuclear testing program. I'm not a big fan of where all this is going.
We're gonna make Godzilla. We're doing it. We're gonna.
So wait, the people are
iguanas.
the people are hungry, and we're talking about nukes. This could go bad very quickly.
Well, I got to give it to. There's a leftist meme where they're like, Donald Trump, food benefits are literally being taken away while the president creates a golden dance hall in the White House. Like, it is not a good sign. Yeah, like that's going to be great propaganda for the left.
Where do you think they test these? Does he say?
Bro, I don't know.
We're going to find
grocery stores. There's not going to be anybody in the grocery
and
stores.
we're going to turn it red very fast.
I actually have no problem if every country was just going to nuke Antarctica. Because I want to know what's underneath there. Because I think there might be. There's going to be some. We're going to find some lizards.
Could be candy. Could be candy down there.
Timcast gets to the truth. That's what we do here.
This is scary as shit. I mean, it really is. We're talking. I mean, we can destroy this world 100 times over with what we all have. And the fact that we're talking about nuclear weapons again just scares the crap out.
Well, I'm actually not worried at all about it. Because
it's like, it's fine.
If I go to Washington, D.C., and I choose the Titan III, let's do the Castle Bravo, the largest U.S. bomb, and detonate it, you can see us over here in Harper's Ferry.
We're good.
And we are well out of range of D.C. being hit.
That's why you moved out of Woodbury.
Hold on.
Hold on.
No
If
way.
the largest bomb ever designed were to detonate in D.C., our windows are going to explode. We're in the shockwave light blast damage radius.
The broken windows stimulate the economy. Things will be great.
Let's take a look at Philly and see how you guys are doing. So, yikes.
Wow.
So that's the largest bomb. It's likely not what you'd actually see. I think.
I mean, that's not much different than
Titan
Philly after they
2
win a sporting event.
This is the more realistic, the Titan II warhead. Because this is an ICBM, we're likely going to see the use of what's called a multiple independently targeting re-entry vehicle, a MIRV, which can be loaded with between 8 and 12 warheads each. And this is the Titan II warhead. So the problem with Nuke Map is that you see if Philly was hit by a Titan II warhead, which is 9 megatons, you can see it hits everything. I mean, I just want to clarify to everybody. I think where is Gloucester County? That's where I was talking about. I was saying we were in Woodbury. We were like right here. It's literally we get on the bridge and it was a 10-minute drive into Philly. That's why I was saying we're very, very close to the city, suburbs basically. There's Cherry Hill. There's Upper Darby. Now the problem is a MIRV isn't just going to be one warhead. It's going to pepper all over in this big chunk 12 times. So you're looking at with like this bomb here. It's gonna wipe out New York all the way to DC with one warhead. One. Now, there is still good news for us here in Harper's Ferry, in that if the bomb were to hit DC, I'm going to add. I want to add a radioactive fallout to the detonation. Oh, it's not showing us very well. Airburst bomb, and why isn't it showing?
What about a surface bomb?
I guess
surface.
I guess that one, surface isn't, that's not how they work. Surface detonations are not real.
I think surface is just when it's really close to the ground, right? Not actually when it's on the ground.
Bombs all detonate above the city to maximize blast damage, but surface detonations don't happen.
I thought that surface detonation referred to like when it's close enough to destroy the city, and an air burst is when they're just trying to like do an EMP.
No, surface is, I'm pretty sure air burst is when it blows up high above the city, so the blast spreads downward, and surface is when it hits the ground. Because gravity bombs hit the ground. I believe gravity bombs hit the ground.
Okay.
Because they use a kinetic force from the fall to trigger. Well, if it hits the ground, here's the fallout. If DC is nuked with a 9 megaton, there you go. Not going to be fun.
No.
So my first experience in the Army, I was actually a nuclear, biological, chemical warfare specialist. So what does that mean? If you have that job, that MOS in the Army, when those bombs hit, your job was to go into that area with a radiation counter and figure out how bad it was. So that was my job, my very first job in the Army. If there was a nuclear blast, I was supposed to go. They were supposed to fly me in with a helicopter, and I was supposed to detect how bad it was. I'm glad I got out of that job.
Yeah, that sounds like a rough one.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Seamus was correct. It says the airburst is when it's high enough that the fireball will not reach the ground. They have very different effects and different reasons. So surface is at or near the ground, so it does detonate in the air still.
Okay.
So actually, the good news is if Sarbama were detonated over D.C., it would irradiate the entire center, but Harper's Ferry's clear.
Harper's Ferry's in the
Zero blast
Got
damage.
that going for us.
We've got that.
How much did your decision to come here involve the nuke map here?
What if they just?
Good question.
What if they just
A little
nuked
bit, to be
Harper's
honest.
Ferry though? What if they just like went out of their way and they're like, we got to get Harper's Ferry.
Can I type in? Let's see. Let's just type in Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, and see if it'll work.
Maybe they will. They were just like, no more.
Oh, poor Martinsburg.
That's rough.
Could you imagine if they were like, we're going to send a message and bomb Harper's Ferry? There's like 10 people who live there.
Ghost of John Brown.
That's not true.
Yeah, the ghost of
No,
John.
it would literally be just a bunch of people who are annoyed that they could never go into Harper's Ferry because it's always so busy on the weekend.
This is actually pretty brutal. If the biggest bomb ever detonated, let's go down to the largest U.S. bomb, 15 megatons, were detonated over Philly. Look at New York getting hit by the fallout. The entirety of New York City is just
Destroyed.
oh, bro. Everyone's gagging and dying.
How long does that fallout take to reach?
I don't know. Is there like a weather?
Yeah, like I'm curious.
Look at this, 1,000 rads per hour. Wow. What does that do to you?
Yeah, that's
Y'all cooked.
It's horrifying.
Yeah.
In
Scares the
good
shit out of
news,
me.
this hasn't happened.
Yeah, good news is this hasn't happened. Exactly.
What if Trump nukes
Chat, are we cooked?
none of it? No, not. What if he nukes none of it? We don't want none of it. What if he nukes Greenland?
I feel like if Trump is like in like a negotiation with like a foreign power and he just kind of sets the nuclear football on the table, doesn't say anything but just sets it there.
Trump just nukes a town of 3,000 in nuke. Trump nukes nuke. There you go. And there's the wind. We can just point it wherever we want. Yeah, what other cities are there?
So we're testing more nukes, basically, is what I'm getting out of the story, and we would prefer for those not to go off. We've seen what the damage would be.
Let's nuke Vancouver.
I'm curious what the impetus was for this. Is he
Leave Vancouver, do Toronto, nuke Toronto.
Canada is definitely unlisting this video.
They're like, no way.
Could it be the
Wow,
threads
look at
back
that.
and forth?
Look how dense the urban area of Toronto is massive.
Yeah,
The Dodgers fans would love for that to happen right now.
That's actually really crazy. I didn't realize Toronto's urban was so massive.
It is.
I have been to many of these places. Wow. Guelph. What a name. I knew somebody from Canada. They got very mad that I insulted their university. I was like, what kind of name is Guelph? And they got offended because I'm an arrogant American making fun of Canada.
Can't
Yeah, that was
do
pretty
that.
messed up of you, Tim.
Well, Canadians aren't people, Seamus.
I don't know that. I mean, they are technically.
That's a joke, YouTube. Calm
They're
down.
Technically, they are.
They are a people.
Technically.
Well, once we conquer Canada and liberate Alberta and Saskatchewan, then we will place the rest of Canada under the what's the right word? Governance, I suppose.
Just save Vancouver so they can still make cheap TV shows there.
I think we should bomb Fort Severn. I don't know why, but there's something about it. Canadians. What are they doing?
So what do you think this is, and why do you think Trump is posting this? Just a negotiation tactic, something to scare foreign governments?
He's like, hey, SNAP benefit people.
Don't even think about it.
Completely unrelated, but
Well, I'll give him
It's because Putin has created a new nuke or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
There's reporting
What
that
is
he's
the new nuke?
Oh yeah, that what is it? Something about Chernobyl. We were talking about this last night. Nuclear powered missile. It's not nuclear. It's nuclear powered.
This is my opinion that so far right it becomes left wing again, which is, I know we talk about the fact that we should be using nuclear power. It's a very effective form of energy. We won't have meltdowns with current technology. But where I go so far to the right, I come out on the left is, I think like with all the DEI hires and stuff, I actually don't know that we could competently handle nuclear. It's like maybe we should just go back to coal, dude. Because if they're put in charge of it, we're going to see meltdowns all across the country. They're not going to be picking the most competent engineer. They're going to be like, we have the first trans disabled nuclear safety monitor at this plant. It's going to be like, hold on, like maybe coal is all right. Maybe we'll try solar.
Maybe. We're going to go to your chats and Rumble rants.
Tim's having so much fun with the nuclear
How much time do you spend on nuke
I'm not a
map
nuke map.
week?
Right now I'm looking at super chats and Rumble rants.
Oh, that's on the screen, so I thought you were still looking at it.
No.
That's so funny.
He's
Seamus.
multitasking.
TwistedPlots.com. Go to TwistedPlots.
All right, everybody, smash that like
For
button.
our show,
Share the
baby.
show with everyone. You know, the uncensored portion of the show is coming up at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. But don't forget to join us at timcast.com, the Discord community, because community is our strength. When we stand together as individual sticks, we are weak. But when we join together as the mighty... Seamus knew what I was going to say.
I knew the reference, the Simpsons reference. We are almighty. Yes.
Nobody wants to say it?
No, not on air. Are you kidding me?
I think
we'll get your channel taken down.
No, I think we'll get demonetized if I actually quote the Simpsons thing.
Yeah, if you quote it, but it's just a Simpsons joke. You're just referring to a bundle of sticks.
I just
That's all.
literally just watched a video yesterday where somebody like dropped that clip in there.
Martin is like the single stick, we are weak, but when we come together, we form a mighty. Yes, that's right. We can't say it on YouTube, can we? We'll say it on the uncensored
But the
portion.
Simpsons was allowed to say it on air, and that's TV PG. What gives?
Well, I don't think we'll get in trouble. I think we'll get demonetized. You know, it's language that is frowned upon, even in its proper context. So join our Timcast Discord server at timcast.com and stand together, and we are stronger. And then we'll have the uncensored portion of the show where I'll play the clip for you of the joke that we're referencing. In the meantime, let's read your super chats and Rumble rants. In fact, Rumble isn't loading the rants right now.
By the way, some Democrat politician, people resurfaced the tweet, but he said that basically like a bundle of sticks is stronger together. And I was like, that's like literally the central metaphor of fascism.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
That's-
The
it's
Democrat
the
is like
weapon.
talking about the fascists.
That was where I saw it. I was watching a video about it was like, do you know what the definition of fascism was? And they included that clip in there, the Simpsons clip.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same root word.
Yep.
Yeah. Fascist means bundle of sticks. It's not a joke. Was it the fascies?
I think it's
It's a weapon
It's
where it's a bunch of sticks strapped together with a blade in the middle. What a stupid weapon. You know what weapons are really dumb is segmented Asian weapons. What were they thinking? Just flopping around all over the place? You crazy?
You don't think it looks cool at all?
Just get a sword and hit someone with it. Is that difficult?
You know, I feel like you're really Monday morning quarterbacking the samurai here, all right? You have no idea what they were up against. There's a lot
the
of
samurai
different
used
weapons.
katanas.
I know, but some of them could have had other weapons, and if they did, that's their choice.
Socioeconomic factors.
Socioeconomic factors played in.
I couldn't afford a sword, so I made nunchucks. All right.
Made for great kung fu movies.
Jason Dixon says, great third chair segment on the Discord. Shout out. Yes, it's a new thing we're doing where the third chair host of the show, which would be Brett tonight, but it wasn't Brett, Ian was doing a guest spot on the Discord server. So if you join us at timcast.com, the Discord community, there are pre-shows, early shows, after shows, all that good stuff. And every day at, 6 o'clock or 6:30?
I think it was like 6:15. That's
6:15.
like I'm gonna try and work it out next week at some point to be able to get out there. I'm literally doing my post production on PCC at that time, so I usually get here between 6:30 and 7. So depending on when I get done, I will try to work that out next week. But it sounds like a lot of fun.
It was a Discord exclusive, Jason Dixon says, with Ian Crossland. Indeed. Big Hail fan says, oh hey, that thing that isn't happening happened.
Whoa, which thing?
I don't know. Is it the Democrat getting arrested?
Something like that. Maybe
the Democrats attacking the police? Jason Dixon with 64 months of Timcast membership. Holy smokes, brother. He says, 64 months, Tim. Shout out the Discord shows. Shout out to Slick and Olivia. Great show. Discord exclusive. Only members can see this show. There are tens of thousands of people in the Timcast Discord hanging out every day, helping each other, building new things, programming video games, accusing Seamus of stealing spoons.
Never done it. You know me. You know I would never do that. You know me.
All right. Millennium Mama says Snap should mirror WIC. Look up WIC foods. Is that what is WIC like limited to bread, milk, and eggs or something?
It's for new mothers, right?
Yeah, it's for new mothers, and it's stuff, diapers, milk, etc. for formula, etc. for.
I think you should drug testing.
I think the government should just send you a block of cheese.
Yeah.
SNAP benefits should be a big block of cheese.
It used to be like that.
I know. It was great. Those were the days.
It was yellow. No, it was orange. Orange cheese is what it was. Those big blocks that they gave out.
Government cheese. Best
Government cheese. I'm going to picture it. What was it like? War surplus, right?
Just market. Interesting.
Yeah, WIC is fresh, frozen, and canned fruits and veggies, milk, cheese, and yogurt.
No, I thought it was processed cheese was used in military kitchens during World War II. And so government cheese is commodity cheese that was controlled by the U.S. federal government from World War II to the 80s, a byproduct of maintaining an artificially high price of milk through dairy industry subsidies, which produced a surplus that was in turn converted into cheese, butter, and powdered milk. The excess after designated use was stored in 150 warehouses across 35 states, creating a strategic federal food reserve available for unexpected surges in demand. Why'd we get rid of that?
You're telling me they took us off the gold standard and they got rid of the government cheese.
Took us off the cheese standard, bro. It should have been.
Was it American? It was American
a proper
cheese?
Country.
Yeah, it was American cheese. Like Velveeta, I guess.
Dairy
Talk
lobbyist,
about the
man.
best grilled cheese ever. Government surplus grilled cheese. That's what I'm talking about.
Who did this?
You guys
This
ever
is
hear
Reagan
the,
written all over it.
You ever hear the Massey joke
Was
about
it actually
the
Reagan?
dairy lobby?
No.
One of his best. Thomas Massey says his joke. He was trying to cut subsidies to some sort of. Then the dairy lobbyist went nuts, and his late wife Rhonda said to him, "You know, I didn't know that the lactose industry was so intolerant." And they were protesting his office.
That's actually really funny.
That's a good one. All right. What is this? Canada. That's what it says. It says, Canada. I'm like, what is this? Oh, Canada. Shout out to the Dominion Society. Canada remigration now. Canada will be restored. You mean to like the indigenous?
The indigenous Canadian population?
Because they're doing it. No. You saw what happened. What's happening in outside of was it Richmond? I think they're giving the land back to the Native Americans.
What?
I saw that they did like a different version of the Canadian national anthem at the World Series too, with some of the lyrics change.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are y'all sad you'll never get to taste delicious government cheese?
Oh yeah, dude. I think about it all the time.
Have you ever had it?
I actually have, yes.
You have. Well, I mean,
how would you
in
label
Philly,
it?
we call it cheese whiz when you get it on a cheesesteak. But no, it was pretty bad. It came in a block, and it was probably about 12 inches long, and it was pretty nasty.
But it made you want to get off the government subsidies by, you wanted to go get actual cheese rather than eat the government cheese.
We'll ever have to try government cheese? I thought you're an optimist now. We're definitely going to have it in the gulags once.
Dude, they're not giving us cheese in the gulags. Are you kidding me, bro?
A high-fat, delicious treat? No way. You're eating gruel, bro.
Yeah.
I also had the cheese when we were eating the sea rations when I was in the Army in the 80s, so it was pretty nasty. I think that was left over from World War II as well.
But cheese whiz is the proper way to do a Philly cheesesteak, right?
Nah, look.
We'll disagree on this one because I say yes, whiz without. That's mine.
Cooper
What's
Sharp.
yours?
You got to do Cooper Wit onions. That's the new generation. The whiz is, look, when they're stirring the cheese whiz with a Home Depot paint stirrer, this is what they do at Pat's and Gino's. They're stirring it. You're right. That is the original way. But when they slab that paint thing with the whiz, any cheese that comes in a can to me is not cheese.
So
I know, but that's a legitimate Philly cheesesteak with that paint stirrer.
And it's still delicious.
It's so good.
I'm still very curious about the government cheese because I do want to know. Like you mentioned, it's nasty, but was there like a kind of cheese you compare it to? Like, what does it taste like relative to non-government cheese?
So you know how when you go
like private sector cheese,
when you buy the individually wrapped cheese in the supermarket,
American.
Well, make that worse than that.
Bro, I'm on board. I love that.
I know, I'm with him. That's nasty, dude. That stuff's nasty. It's good on something. Like, it's good on a grilled cheese or on a burger, but by itself, it's gross.
Whenever I see the Kraft White American, and it's a blue package with a big white American on it, it just makes me laugh. I'm like, because that's white supremacy. You can't do that.
That's actually very offensive to me.
It's very white American. That's the cheese I eat. It's the only cheese I eat. We don't need anything else but white American. All right, where are we at? X10 Man says, I thought Brett's hat said cannabis for sale. It doesn't?
My hat?
It says Canada.
Oh yeah, I brought that. It says Canada is not for sale. When I was because I was in Toronto and then Niagara Falls for my honeymoon, and I was surprised by how much like bravado the Canadian merchandise had. Like they learned something from Trump. They hate him, but now they're all like, oh, don't mess with Canada.
You got to judge countries on how they can move merch.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
I mean, he was in like the clearance bin, so nobody was buying
They're
it.
polite to your face, but their merch is scathing.
I had a journalist reach out to me about the Trump 2028 stuff, and like all these news outlets are trying to write about it, and they asked me like, what do people on the right really think? And I said, no one is talking about it. No one cares. It's like the only reason it became a story is because a journalist asked Trump or asked Bannon about it, and then asked Trump, and Bannon gave this very deadpan answer of like, it's going to happen. No one on the right cared, mentioned it, or talked about it. Then Trump said, you know who, I will see, I guess. And now the media is turning into something that literally no one cares about.
You asked me on the Daily Show when I did it this week, and I had 2 left-wing reporters text me after the show. And they're like, well, you kind of gave a non-answer. You know, Tim pushed you a little. And I'm like, no, I just don't care. It's trolling, and it's genius because they're just so fixated on him being Hitler or fascist.
Yes.
See, you know, more power, more power.
Not even just Hitler. They're terrified of Trump becoming FDR.
Right.
Well,
they're like, Trump's going to go for more than 2 terms and put minorities in camps and start a world war. And you're like, hold on a second. He's going to like have this obsession with gold and take everyone's gold from them. You're like, wait a minute.
You know,
there's other parallels I won't even get into.
There's one scenario where I would support a 3rd term in violation of the Constitution, and that is free Philly cheesesteaks with cheese whiz.
Philly tacos, free Philly tacos. You got to wrap the pizza.
Dude, no joke. When we found out about that, we were like, it's time. And like, we went to the city to go get them, and it was amazing. Yeah. It was great. I loved the area that we're in. We were in at the time. It was a great area, but the problem was Jersey sucked, and we didn't want to move into the city. We were, you know, the level of political violence had escalated to a point in the New York area, like bombs were planted.
What time was it? Like, what year was this?
It was like 2018.
Okay.
There were several bombs that were planted in New York, and I was like, man, that with the riots and the escalation of protests and BLM, I was like, I don't want to. I saw where it was going. So we went to South Jersey, and then when the BLM riots happened, we were intentionally on the Jersey side across the bridge. And then we hear, like, when the riots are happening, we're like, no, we're good because we're not in Philly. We're on the other side. Then we heard sirens and helicopters, and we were like, it sounds kind of loud outside. And we went outside, and we could see the chopper over the bridge because the rioters were coming into Jersey. And we were like, okay, now we're not only in an area where the rioters are coming, but we're in a peninsula with no way out except for that bridge. And we have to leave. We can't be here. And so we wanted to be close enough to an urban metro and an airport, but far enough out that we won't be hit by the riots and the violence and things like that. So that's why we're out here in the middle of nowhere.
I traveled a lot of places skating, and one of my favorite places that I went to repeatedly was Philadelphia, which I spent probably a total of like 4 months over 2 years there, skating Temple, skating downtown. It was just, I loved it there. That was back in like 2009.
When you were a judge, did you handle cases like in the city proper, like downtown stuff and things like that?
Absolutely. Was a municipal court judge, so I'm a city judge, and yes, everything in the city of Philadelphia would come in front of us.
Did you ever get like a skateboarder who was trying to skate at Love Park in there for some?
I thought I knew it. Well,
but I have been to Love Park.
So right, and Love Park was a international tourist destination, and then obviously we stopped allowing skateboarders to use it. Now, I didn't understand why we didn't make a skateboard a park right there at Love Park. It was a great idea for international tourism.
I can tell you why they don't want to, because the skaters don't want to go to the skate parks. The ones who love skating street, they want to be outside.
But I think the modern skate park expansion has proven that to be not mostly not true.
Or they've grown out of that.
So Love Park is one of the most iconic locations in the history of skateboarding, and I think that if you put a park there, it would have kept. It could have done one of two things: brought a ton more skateboarders to the park. But I think it would have. I think the actual answer was to somehow hybridize allowing skateboarding there in some fashion.
Like the Brooklyn Banks in New York City.
Right.
Yeah. So what would end up happening in that sense is that people would meet there. They'd stay there for like an hour or two, and then they would go explore the city. So what you would actually do is give them a place to kind of coalesce, and then they just go out and about. They're not going to stay there the whole day.
Skateboarders don't have money.
Oh, yeah. I was really upset with the skateboarders in Philly because they would go to our memorials for the Vietnam those who were killed in Vietnam, our memorial wall for both the Korean and the Vietnam War, and the skateboarders would come and damage that.
Yeah,
That's not okay.
That was something that I was up in arms and was ready to give up being a judge.
I didn't realize.
Well, so this is actually a huge problem inside of skateboarding. The example I give, we had a skate spot. So these are skate spots are basically places you can skate that are private property or public property, but they're not meant for skating. And there was one area where I grew up where you could skate in such a way, it was a loading dock, meaning you would jump off of it. There's no damage to anything. When the security would come by and say, guys, you can't be here, we'd go, sorry, we're leaving, we'd leave. Other kids would come, and what happened was this one group of young kids, younger than us, like 3 or 4 years, when the security guard came by and said, you can't be here, they smashed it out of the windows and then ran.
Wow.
And then they built fences around it.
That's like one of the most fundamental things you learn in the sport is the type of person who gets really upset by it. Like whenever we get kicked out and somebody get mad. Now there's times where like you've been trying a trick for like 45 minutes and a guy kicks you out, and your anger gets the better of you, and you're like, ugh. But the thing is, most of the time they kick you out, I'm like, we are doing something wrong.
Yeah, right.
I am wrong.
It'd be funny also if they call it, he's like, that's the 47th time you've tried that. You suck. You can't skate here.
But actually,
I mean, I'd be like, respect, dude. Like,
it's extremely common for security guards to say, one more try, get it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then the dude's going to go for the trick and then say, okay, you got to go.
Mm-hmm.
But there have been some pretty bad instances, and one thing that really irks me is prominent, high-profile accounts in skateboarding promote skateboarders fighting security guards.
Yeah, I hate
And I'm like, this is the stupidest thing imaginable, and it should not be advocated for. There was this incident happened, I think it was in San Fran. These guys were skating at some corporate building, had great marble ledges they were sliding across. And when the security guard told him to stop, they basically told him to screw himself. The security guard started the fight.
Yeah.
He swung on, somebody pushed, he tried to grab somebody. He got pushed. So the guard took a swing at a different guy who dipped and then hit him back. The security guard fell down, hit his head, and got a traumatic brain injury and had to have a portion of his skull removed. And I think it put him comatose. That skateboarder went to prison, and he's probably still there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was always like, I would always ask for, I'd be very curious, like one more try, and more often than not, they would give me that shot. But for the most part, if you want to talk about like a dark time in skating, corporate buildings after 9/11. That was the hardest part when you would be out skating.
Let's grab this. We've got the Collins effect. It says, you need to find the clip of the British mother crying on the news. She is scared for her and her children's lives. She's afraid that one of them will be stabbed at any moment. M. Kelly has the clip. I don't know if you guys saw this, but in the UK, people are saying they're on the verge of a civil war right now.
Yeah.
Because some like Muslim guy just walked up to a random old man and just stabbed him to death.
Dude, like people there don't realize it's very bad. They're not just headed for being second-class citizens. Like they're headed for slavery, because that's what Muslims do when they become the majority in a country historically, is they enslave the population. And if they are able to abuse your children and stab people without going to jail, or with you getting a worse prison sentence for criticizing them than they'll get for harming you, like what else do you call that if not slavery? It's totally horrifying. It's totally insane. And this is something I like to point out, because when you have these far left policies of let's let any criminal out of jail, let's let a 27-time offender back out onto the streets, they'll try to scoff and laugh at conservatives for pointing out where that goes, but it's not like we don't have an example. You look at Europe, you look at the fact that there's rapists who they just let out of jail because they say, oh, they didn't know any better because of their culture, or they couldn't help it, or we didn't give them enough welfare, or whatever. It's not like the left doesn't want to do that here. It's not like they're decent people here, right? They just haven't had a chance.
Antipathy 17 says, quote, stop looking into suspicious activities surrounding the Charlie Kirk assassination. You're acting like you have Israel derangement syndrome. Wow. I mean, that's a harsh opinion, Antipathy. I think maybe people should be looking into what's going on with Charlie Kirk. Just because you're critical of Israel or concerned about what's going on doesn't mean you're deranged. Now, the people who are pulling up clips of like random dudes standing around and claiming they've got palm guns, or that so I was talking about this earlier. Candace Owens criticized one of Charlie's chief of staff because right after Charlie gets shot, he takes his phone to his ear and as they all run out, he walks out on the phone. And Ian Carroll and Candace Owens have been like, this is suspicious. Why is he doing it? And I'm like, why is he on his phone? I don't know. There's a million reasons someone's on their phone. And then Candace said, you know what I noticed that's strange? He didn't dial. I've not dialed a number into my phone in probably 20 years. I just don't understand. People are turning the Charlie Kirk assassination into a true crime drama and memes.
Wait, is the idea that like he didn't get a call, he made a call, but he didn't push any buttons? What are they talking about?
Exactly, because if you watch the video, you can see this guy Mike, is on his phone. Charlie gets shot, and then he like jolts, turns around, and starts walking out as people are screaming, and he puts his phone to his ear. And then later, I guess Colvett and the Turning Point team said, yeah, he had called Erica or something like that. And I'm just like, he was planning on calling somebody before the shot happened, and then it happened, and he pressed call.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why that's weird. I don't know why. It's like when we had on the dudes debating Charlie Kirk's assassination, and the one guy said Charlie was shot in the back of the neck, clearly, and then showed a video where he was like, and that's where he was shot from. That bush is a man crouched down. And I'm like, but that bush is in front of Charlie Kirk. So I don't understand. Like, what's happening is people are getting millions of views chasing after true crime drama memes, and they're not actually helping investigate in any meaningful way because people want the sensationalized true crime drama. And it's messed up. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I'll say this. I know all those guys, so it's pretty tough for me. I did get to host Charlie's show the day after the memorial out there in Phoenix. And my response to everybody is ask any questions you want. Let's wait and see, as all the facts come out. But to accuse anybody that is close to Charlie of some nefarious act, I don't really think they have to respond to it. I know they have. They have responded on the show. Andrew's put stuff out. Mikey's put stuff out. Talking about it. I think Posobic's actually done a really good job of kind of doing a deep dive and being willing to talk about it. But they knew Charlie very well. Like, this is a good friend of theirs that they worked with for years. So, my response is people can ask questions, but let's let the facts come out. We've got the trial right now. Yeah. And I think from there, have your opinions.
There's some things that Candace put out that I've praised her on. I said that she actually did a good job uncovering some of this stuff. But for what reason did she show a picture of, I think Mike McCoy's his name?
Mikey McCoy, yeah.
Mikey McCoy taking a phone call and then saying, that's suspicious, that's strange. And I'm like, no, it isn't. And why are you accusing? There's no indication that anything weird happened other than you didn't like that he was about to call someone right before the shot happened, but we don't know what that means. My point is making a video based on that, making a show based on that is literally just memifying and true crime dramaing. Nothing. There's nothing to glean. There's no information to obtain by accusing a guy of something strange and untoward. The implication is that he was somehow involved or doing something weird because he took a phone call or made a phone call. You learn nothing from it other than you sensationalize, and people I don't know, start targeting these people. This is now like the fifth Turning Point staff who's been accused of some kind of wrongdoing related to Charlie's death. And it keeps changing. It keeps jumping from person to person. I don't know. Whatever. My friends, smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. The uncensored portion of the show is coming up at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. In about 30 seconds, you don't want to miss it. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Judge Dugan, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, Judge Dugan for DA.com. I need help. My social medias are Dugan for DA. We don't have money. If you could send us $5, if you could send us $17.76 so I can defeat the Soros-backed candidate in the birthplace of democracy in America, or $82 for a guy who was in the 82nd Airborne. I need help to defeat this guy who is an anarchist who is trying to destroy Philadelphia. I appreciate you having me here.
Oh, thanks for coming. It's an honor and a privilege. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Everybody on X, Maloney, just Maloney. If you want to help us win this New Jersey governor's race, njchase.com. We got 5 more days trying to pull it off. $175 covers an entire day of chasing ballots over in New Jersey. Appreciate the Timcast Nation.
Guys, remember, I am the smartest knife in the drawer, and you should go to twistedplots.com. But if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and X at Brett Dasovic. On both of those platforms, what you should do is go check out Pop Culture Crisis. We are live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. See you there, guys.
Guys, people get their morality and their values through story. The left currently dominates the primary infrastructure for delivering stories to people. We cannot let them continue to do this. They've chipped away against everything you love over the course of several decades here. That's why myself and my team, after making over 600 animated videos, getting over 250 million views with $0 spent on marketing, we're launching a full-length animated show because we cannot win the culture war if we're not making culture. We're making an anthology series where each episode communicates a good right-wing conservative value, not through ham-fisted monologues, but clever storytelling and good jokes. We have a 25-minute pilot finished. If you want to see for yourself, go to twistedplots.com, give us $25. You will be helping us to create the future of entertainment. It's grassroots, it's right-wing, and it needs your help.
Balk
like a chicken? Is this? There are chickens in the first episode, so you can see some chickens balking.
Reference.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We will see you all over at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.